Mabusai! Hi, Shipwrecks! Happy Friday! Oh my gosh, you made it to the end of the week! Hi, Poseidon. Hello, everyone! I hope everybody's having a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Hello, hello! Yeah, I hope everybody's having a good Friday. I don't know why I'm being so awkward right now. I've been having a good Friday. I woke up at like 9. I was baking some desserts I was gonna bring over to some friends tonight. So yeah, happy 3-day weekend. I guess it is a 3-day weekend, huh? It's Memorial Day on Monday. Yeah, that's on Monday. I think that's on Monday for the States. Yeah, it is a 3-day weekend. I didn't even like realize that. Now that I've been off classes since the semester, I'm starting to lose track of time. I will say my sleeping schedule has not been fucked yet, so I'll take that. my sleeping schedule has not been fucked yet, but that may change. Who knows? I might be sleeping at like 4 or 5 a.m. but at some point. Because that usually happens when I don't really have anything. You know what I mean? I don't really have any, I guess, classes in the morning. But I do plan to keep my stream time at around noon most days. There might be a few days where I will be starting stream a little later. We'll see. We'll see. I'm playing Soul Silver right now. It's a great game. It's a really good game. It's a really, really good game. My sleeping schedule's wrecked. No! I feel you, though. I feel you. Sleeping schedules are the worst. I try to sleep around, like, 1 to 2 a.m. There may be, like, a few nights where I'm, like, falling asleep at 3. But I try to wake up between, like, 8 to 9 most days. There'll be days where I wake up at, like, 9:30, but I don't know. Having a sleeping schedule can be hard, especially when there isn't really anything for you to fully commit to the next day. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Wow, we've been streaming a lot this week. We had what did we do on Monday? What did we do on Monday? I'm already forgetting what we did on Monday. Oh, we did the Nuzlocke thing on Monday. Yes, we did Nuzlocke Roulette on Monday. Tuesday, we played Slay the Spire. Wednesday was a React day. Yesterday was Lazarus. And then we had Pokemon D&D last night. And then now we have React again. And then tomorrow, if you're going to MomoCon, I'm doing a virtual meet and greet there with Kawa. And then we have my new outfit debut tomorrow, which I'm really excited. I try to sleep and I randomly wake up. I had that same problem. I have the same problem where I would keep waking up in the middle of the night, and then I tried to do, what is it called? Better sleep hygiene. So I try not to use my phone too much before bed. I try not to eat before bed, and I try to drink at least a little bit of water before bed and just make sure I'm comfortable. But I used to wake up like 3-4 times a night, and it really sucks. It really, really sucks. I'm currently attempting a Fire Red Nuzlocke so far. No fatalities. Oh, good, nice. I want to revisit Fire Red. I dropped the Nuzlocke because I just was getting very frustrated with it. So we might revisit it one day. Excited for your new outfit? Thank you. I'm very excited too. I just received the final file today. So I'm very excited. So hopefully you guys will enjoy tomorrow. I'm not doing anything crazy tomorrow. I think we're just gonna do the reveal. We're gonna watch the cover. So it might be just like a 1-hour stream tomorrow, and then we'll be continuing stream on Tuesday. And so Silver, I got a Crobat before Whitney, and surprisingly, Kolaba and Vitro. Ooh, I wish I could go to MomoCon. I wish I could go to. I wanna travel to more cons. But here's the thing with me and like conventions. I don't have. Sorry, I'm still sniffly. Sorry, guys. I don't have the same stamina as I used to when I was in like high school, when I was a teenager, because I used to go to conventions all the time when I was in like high school. And now I go to like maybe a convention for one day and I'm cooked. Like I'm tired and I I'm burnt out, so I'm not really... I don't have that same stamina anymore. I'm getting old. Also, my experiences have always been like, the cons are fun, but I find that the experiences outside of the conventions are always more fun for me. But next week is event packed. Oh no, oh no, oh no. I don't really have too much going for me. I think in June, like travel wise, I'm traveling at the end of this month and then I'm traveling in July. So June's gonna probably be my most free month. Yes, yes. So I'm excited. I'm very excited to stream more and probably just catch up with a lot of my house stuff. Congrats on your degree. Thank you. Yeah, I now have my associates. So that means I'm halfway done. I almost like didn't even want to go to like my college graduation for my associates because it was an optional thing where I was like, oh, I shouldn't go. Cause I was telling my mom, I was telling Mother Rhea, I was like, Mom, like, I know it's an associate's, but like, it's not the main goal. So I don't feel the need to celebrate it and walk the stage. And my mother was like, no, Shai, you are walking that goddamn stage. I don't care. She said, she was telling me it was like an achievement and stuff, but I don't know. For me, maybe it's just me being harsh on myself, but I'm like, well, I'm halfway done, but I'm not actually done. So I shouldn't I shouldn't walk the stage. I don't feel like it's time to celebrate just yet, but my mom convinced me, and I understand where she's coming from. How's your afternoon so far? It's doing great. W, Mom. It's just because I'm so hard on myself. I'm just like, this is not the main goal, and this is just like a checkpoint, so I don't know if I should celebrate it. I felt wrong about celebrating it, but Mother Rhea was just like, no, Sai, you're walking the stage, and you're gonna go get dinner, and we're gonna do this, and you did a great job. And I'm like, oh, okay, fine. I need to say my museum like too many times. PCs are expensive nowadays. I actually was talking to a friend recently about like PCs. I was like, I haven't upgraded my PC now in like 2 years. I think the last thing I upgraded was my graphics card, which is like a 4070i. I think 4070i. I'm like looking over, but I can't tell which one it is. But I haven't upgraded my PC in a while. I need to upgrade my CPU, if anything. My CPU is actually low-key kind of cooked. Not cooked, but like it's old. It's pretty old. Don't Poppy, thank you for the 14 months. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yeah, I think I'm taking it a little bit easier next week with streaming because I streamed so much this week. I go out to so many events, so no time for at-home consoles or custom PC. Oh, for card game events or like, just like events. I need to go back to going to One Piece like once. I actually haven't been in like 2 months. I haven't played One Piece in 2 months because I just haven't had the time to play. But we'll see. I was window shopping computers earlier. They're pricey. They're pretty pricey. I still like think that building your own will be cheaper in the long run, but there's some like pretty good pre-built out there for decent prices. As long as you do your research and, you know, do that, you'll be fine. If you want a pre-build, just do your research, find out how much the parts are. Because I think that's a huge mistake. I had a friend that got scammed from a PC. He bought like a PC with like a 4060 and like 16 gigs of RAM for maybe close to $3,000. Which I was, at the time, was pretty, like, that's bad. That's not good. Oh my god, you got scammed. You got fucking scammed. My TCG life is almost non-existent. Oh, I need to get back into playing Vanguard. I haven't played Vanguard in like almost a year, I think. The last deck I built was Artisaria. But right now, I'm just trying to build my magic decks. Like, I'm still building Renunciary. I'm missing some cards. I'm missing some cards. I have to proxy some cards because I'm not paying an egregious amount of money for for like a commander deck that I'm just gonna play with my friends. So yeah, but PCs are very expensive. Do your research. I honestly think that building your PC is a very rewarding experience. So if you have like the patience and like the commitment to build your own PC, I highly recommend it. For me personally, I built mine. So I have like that extra, like, I feel proud that I did it. It's actually not super hard. You just have to be careful and follow instructions. But I don't think it's as hard as like people say it is. But I get it. Some people like buying pre-builts because they don't want to deal with it. Mostly Pokemon rogue decks and shocking people with what I play. No, for real. We have some of those at my locals. I will say my locals, oh my god, the cup I ran last week, it was all, my locals have all been on Lopunny, Frostlass, and I'm like, it's like every week my locals is on something else. Like 1 week everybody's on Zoroark, the next week everybody's on Lopunny, the next week's people are on Festival Lead, and then Dragapult, and then it's like, oh my god, you guys are all copying each other. For 2 years, and I bought the pieces and assembled it. It felt great. I know, it's like that satisfying feeling, right? Of building your PC. I will say, I think the first time I built mine, because I built it, I think twice now, I crashed out the first time because it wouldn't turn on. And I forgot to like plug certain things in, and then I eventually took it back apart and rebuilt it. That are some sus Pokemon. What do you mean sus Pokemon? Lopunny? Unironically though, Lopunny is probably one of the best Pokemon in the TCG. Does a lot of damage for low commitment. It's a good Pokemon. It's a good Pokemon. But yeah, I'm probably gonna go to locals tonight. I don't know what I'm gonna play. The deck I wanna play, I don't have built. So I might have to just roll with the deck that I currently have, which is Zoroark. But I like playing Zoroark, that's fine. Chaos Rising should be out next. Is it out today? When is Chaos Rising out? Oop. Alright, let's see. Hey, Pokemon TCG. Chaos Rising release date. Okay. It is out today. It is out today. Which means I need to go buy my cards. I don't know, is Mega Greninja good? Is Mega Greninja EX good now? Is it Buns? Is it good? Is it Cope? Is it Copium? I've been root forcing a Heatran Matang deck. Yeah, I have some of my locals that's running that right now. Oh my god, why is special red card the full art like 20 bucks? Ah! That's a lot of money! Ah! Crying in the club. Am I Copium? I don't know. I feel like it's not great by itself. If you play Mega Greninja by itself, I don't think it's great, but if you play it with other Pokemon, it might be fine. I'm looking at all these cards. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the newest set of Pokemon. The newest set? I'm not really big on this set. I'm not too crazy over the cards. I guess the Floette is cool, but I'm not a big fan of Mega Floette. I think Mega Floette looks fucking weird. Alright, I'm looking at these cards. Maybe we should look at them together. Hold up, let me pull up. TCG player on stream right now. So we can look at these cards together so you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't do TCG, you guys should totally do TCG because it's so much fun. It's a good game. It's like genuinely a really good card game. It's funny because Most Critical started playing Pokemon TCG. This man started playing Pokemon TCG and he's like uploading videos of him learning and like playing on the ranked ladder in PCG Live, and I'm like, oh no, because he's playing the game, there's gonna be a bunch of new people coming in, which is great, that's good. Alright, let's look at these cards. Another mill deck. Oh, I wouldn't be able to help you there, brother. I'm not. Oh, I'm using the wrong. There we go. Let's see. So this is the new set of Pokemon that released today. This came out today. So you should be able to go to your local stores and find these now. I opened a few packs. I pulled 2 of these guys, which I was a little bit mad about because I was just like, what? I pulled 2 of these? What the heck? Why? D4, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. So the big hitter in this set is this card. Is this Mega Greninja full art, which I think is pretty cool. I like the art a lot, but it's right now it's $450. I think it's going to drop to maybe $250. That's my guess. I think this is gonna drop to $250. So if you're like looking to buy Pokemon cards right after a set drops, don't do it. Wait like 2-3 weeks. Like for me, I'm buying this because I need this for my deck and I play full arts only. So I really need this card, but I'm not paying $18 for it. Like that to me is a little ridiculous for this card, but who knows? Maybe it might stay at 18. They started doing these, which I thought were cool. They started doing, what is it? Like full art stadiums that aren't gold. So I'm really happy. I might buy this. Like, dead ass, I might buy this. This is a really cool stadium. Let's see. I actually truthfully haven't checked out a lot of these cards. Oh, there's a full art jumbo ice cream now. Those are cool. What else did I pull? I pulled... Where's the card I pulled? Oh, I pulled 2 of these. I have 2 Roxy's Performance, but I don't know if it's gonna be useful. When they had Parallel City for like Sun and Moon, yeah, that was in X and Y. Parallel City was an X and Y card. I use that a lot in my Sylveon GX deck, though. The big hitters in this set are the Mega Greninjas. So each of the lines. So Froakie has a full art. Frogadier has one. My bad. It's all good. It's all good. Let's see. This is cool. They have Prism Tower now. And it's cool because if you look in the stadiums, there's always a little Pokemon in there. So this one has Bell in there. Yeah, I ripped a few packs of this one. My LGS, for judging their cup, gave me some packs. And I was like, awesome. Great. Picasso. Yeah, the rest of these are just kind of like... Not my favorite cards ever. I did pull a regular Mega Greninja. I did pull that. The Metang is pretty cool. I'm not really big on the Claydol. I actually quite like this Watchog. I may not like Watchog as a Pokemon, but I really like this art. This art's really nice. And then this is, I think, the big hitter for the supporters. Switch your Pokemon. My Ampharos is actually super cute too. This is a really cute Ampharos. I started collecting more IRs recently of like just cards I like, because I don't know, I see like all those really cool TikTok binders of people who make like these themed pages. Like for example, there was this girl, she did like a all house page where it's just Pokemon inside a home. Like this would count. So it would be like a Pokemon sitting on a couch or something, and it was just all that theme and all the Pokemon were together. This is actually super cute. I really like this card. This is actually so cute. I don't know if it's $90 cute, but it's cute. I don't think it's $90 cute. The Xerneas is kind of nice. Yeah, I like the Xerneas. $20 though? I think that's gonna drop down. Fingers crossed. The Chespin's nice. And then I don't know. I'm not huge on gold cards. I think gold cards are kind of ugly. I think gold cards are not, I don't know. I don't like them. How is this damaged? What happened? What happened to this listing, my guy? A damaged Mega Greninja. Oh. You guys see it? The corner got nicked. It like the corner is lifting. Yeah, that's definitely not a PSA 10. Ooh. Let's see. Which corner is it on? It's on the bottom corner here. So you can kind of see it. It's like on this left bottom corner. You can kind of see it. I couldn't tell right away, but when you definitely do zoom in, you can see it. Ah, this guy is selling it for significantly less. That's why you gotta be really careful when you're opening packs. Because if you open a pack wrong, that can happen. Yeah. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Mega Dragality. Where's Mega Dragality? Discard all tools and special energy from all of your opponent's Pokemon. Your Pokemon active is now poisoned. Put 16 on that Pokemon instead of 1. Who can read that? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Also, this music is too calm. This music is too calm. Alright, that's fine. Sabrina Carpenter's fine. Yeah, truthfully, I think this set is kind of mid, like, player-wise. I guess this card will see play for sure. Mega Greninja! I don't know. I think Mega Greninja, in my opinion, is copium. I don't think it's as good as people say it is. If we look at, like, Japan results, it's not performing as well as people said it would. I think that Dragapult still is the better Pokemon. You're good, Virus. All good. Does Pokemon come out with a new set every day? For every 8 days? No, every few months. I think we get it every quarter. So about 4 sets a year. So this last set was back in like, I think February. It might have been February. Perfect Order. I mean, I can look it up. When was Perfect Order released? It's like once per quarter. Yeah, it was March. So March. So every quarter they do a set. So about 4 sets a year. And then we have subsets, which are like smaller sets. So subsets are kind of like, if you've seen Ascended Heroes, this is a technically reprint set. So a lot of meta cards got reprinted. And then a lot of meta cards got different arts. Like, for example, this card is from... This is an Ascended Heroes card, but I believe this card was all the way back in like the Scarlet Violet area, but it got reprinted with a new art. With like an alternate art. But it has like literally the same text and everything. Going apartment hunting again. Oh, you're good. Apartment hunting's so stressful. I really hate apartment hunting. I really hate it. Yeah, Ascended Heroes has like those fancy Pokemon, like the Mega Gengar. This is like the big hitter in the set. And the Pikachu as well. This is really cute too. But this is a really hard set to get your hands on now. Like, oh my goodness, they're just, it is so hard. Do I have one of these? Hold on, one more second. I might. I can't remember if I ordered this one. Not me looking around my office. Okay, I do have a Pokemon Center Ascended Heroes box. I have one. I got lucky and I got one. Oh god. Yeah, I have one of those. Anyways, Booty Cheeks, unfortunately. I think they're gonna be printing cards that have more poison in it, hopefully. Yeah, this is really cute. I think I slightly prefer the other version of this card, but it's still like super duper cute. I really love this card. This card is so banger. This was one of my dream cards for sure from this set. And the Dragonite too. The Dragonite's really nice. Oh, and this, I wish I had this, dude. This Psyduck is so cute. Look at him, he's such a baby. He's so cute. I'm so sad I don't have him. One day, when Subathon comes back and I can afford it, I'll buy the Psyduck. eeping. He is eeping. I do really like the Iono too. I just really like Iono and I really like Bellybolt. Definitely favorite characters from Scarlet and Violet for sure. What else? The Mega Hawlucha is pretty cool too. I really love this card. I'm very attached to this card because I played this a lot. Like actually, this particular card. This art's really nice, but I don't know, $80. $80 is a lot. The electric sheet, it's so cute. And honestly, you can make it work too. It's not like the worst card ever, you know? I do need to pick this up. This needs to come into my collection at some point. This Cynthia Spiritomb, it needs to find its way to my collection at some point. Banette. I do have this Mega Diancie. I think I have like 3 of those. Mega Hawlucha. Oh, this Togekiss. I should tell Nova to go get this card. It's Nova's favorite Pokemon is Togekiss. Losing the big energy retrieval did hurt the deck a lot, though. Yeah, it did. There's other cards you could play in its place, but... I mean, what does Raging Bolt play? Because Raging Bolt is still good. And it's one of those type of decks where... it still needs the retrievals. What does Raging Bolt play? Okay, there's Night Stretchers. Okay, you play double Night Stretcher. Oh, okay, you play... in this deck, you play Glass Trumpet. So you can just attach energy. Oh, interesting. And then you play the energy switches. Interesting. John Kendrick, thank you for the follow. My Short King. I own 4 of these cards. I own 4 of them because they're so good. Is there a Mega Scolipede card? I don't think so. We're still in, yeah, we don't, there's no. We're still in the Mega Evolution era of TCG, so eventually all the new Mega Evolutions will get printed. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything too crazy. Ooh, I do want to pick these up to play. Mega Fate set. Yeah, we have, I don't know when we're gonna get our Fate set for this era. Every single era, so when I say era, because we're currently on Mega Evolution, because it says ME on here. Previously, we were on Scarlet and Violet. So every time there's a new, like, generation of cards, there's gonna be a Fate set. So the Fate sets are, let me see if I can find it. It's another reprint type of set. So this is Paldean Fate. So this is the Fate set for Scarlet and Violet. They do, the Fate sets are typically shiny sets. They're reprint sets, but they reprint a lot of the Pokemon to be shiny Pokemon. And these are pretty difficult to get your hands on as well. These are not easy. These are not easy cards to get your hands on. So like, just as you can see, even depending on the Pokemon, it looks like a plain Pokemon card, but because the Pokemon that's on there is shiny, look, this Charmander, $55. 54. So, yeah. I do own some of these cards. I believe I do own this one. I do own this one. I think I do own these 2 for sure. I do own this. Like, you can see, it's so expensive. They're really expensive, but they're so nice. Hidden Fates is still a really good set. I agree. I definitely own this and this. Let's see. Where is Hidden Fates? So now we're in Sword and Shield era. This was from a long time ago. Hidden Fates? We have Shining Fates here. Here we go. Hidden Fates. I do own this Mewtwo. I do own this Mewtwo. I do own this Lucario. I do own one Gardevoir. I'll have to to go through all my collection. I don't remember exactly what I own from this set, but I know I for sure own this Mewtwo right here. Oh, this Cynthia, though, is so nice, but she's so hard to get a hold of. Cynthia, my beloved. Is a really good set. But yeah, we're probably gonna get a Mega Evolution Fates at some point. I don't know if they're just gonna call it Mega Fates or like, I don't know, Evo Fates. But I don't know if we're gonna get it. I think we might get it at the end of this year or maybe next year. There's usually a little bit of time between when like a new generation of sets start and like when they get the hidden sets. But Pokemon card collecting nowadays, especially if your favorite Pokemon is like a Gen 1 Pokemon, can get really expensive. Let's look at Phantasmal Flames. I opened quite a lot of this product, so I was really hoping to pull this card, but I wasn't lucky enough to pull. So maybe one day, maybe one day I'll pull this card. I really love this card. I do like Charizard a lot. I don't like it as much as most people. I'm very much a Venusaur girly, but this card is so nice. It's like ridiculously nice. I do own, I think, 2 of these. And then I do own a Piplup. I do own some Dawns. Oh, this card is adorable. Look at him. He's just a little baby. He's just a little baby. Look at him. He's so cute. I own too many of these Amipoms. Unfortunately, I pulled way too many. I got a shiny scissor from Terra Raid. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, this set was fine. I think this was a better set than the current set we have, but this set's pretty cool. This set is pretty sick. I'm sorry. I love yapping about Pokemon. Pokemon TCG is just one of my brain rots, all right? One of my brain rots. Thank you for the hydrate check. Thank you for reminding me. Drink of choice today, we have GamerSep's Blue Screen Girl. Hi, Noble Narwhal. Long time no see. What's the chase card for which set? For which set are you looking into? Yamper, he's a baby. He is a baby. He is just nice, big babu. Yeah, Pokemon products really hard to find at like regular stores unless you line up really early. But then again, I've been seeing stores starting to crack down on it. I watched a TikTok yesterday where like Target employees were out at like, it was like the overnight employees. They were putting out signs outside of the store saying like, no chairs allowed, no lines until like 8 a.m. or else you're considered trespassing. And I'm like, oh great. 151 and Evolutions. I don't think they're bad sets. There was a point in time where I actually really wanted to master set 151 and then I gave up. I got like a good amount there. And Evolutions, I think it's fine. I think 151 is great. I actually really like 151. One day I will own this card because look at my baby. One day. A girl can dream. A girl can dream. Yeah, I think 151 is a good set. I don't know if about evolution, like just like regular evolutions back in X and Y. I don't think that's a bad set either, but it's not my favorite set. Definitely like meh to me. It's just like a whatever. I traded for a big car today. Wait, what'd you get, Rotom? You must tell me now. You have to tell the class now. What did you get for your cards? Okay, where's... Oh, here we go. XY Evolution. I haven't seen this set in 5 ever. You did fail it, you know, streaming so late. It's all good. I was having some YouTube streaming issues earlier, so. Have you seen those vending machines of Pokemon? Oh yeah, 100%. I've seen videos of people fighting outside of those. Makes people buy 2 Pokemon like boxes. I will say GameStop is starting to sell not at MSRP anymore, so I don't really go to GameStop. How Crown Zenith's a really great set. I actually have 2 Crown Zenith ETBs I don't have open for just my sealed collection, and like just in case I am like really broke. those are like my stocks. But I really like Crown Zenith. Crown Zenith is such a beautiful set. I tried master setting that one at some point too, which is why I had the ETBs, but I ended up just keeping them sealed because I was like, what if something ever goes wrong in my life, at least I have ETBs. I evolution part of it. Oh my goodness. Rainbow Full Art Greninja GX. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Crown Zenith is such a good set. I love this set. This set is so good. I really love this card. This card's really nice. Why do I feel like this is not the right card I'm looking at? I'll have to be like, hold up. Why is everything so slow today? Hello? Hurry up! TCG player's like, oh, she's streaming. Let's try to screw her over. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is the Radiant Charizard set. So nice. So nice. I low-key miss VMAX era. I low-key do. I don't know if anybody else does, but I miss it. Flareon Gold Star. Ah! How much is that? I'm not. Hold up. Ah! Oh my god. You're crazy, my guy. It's such a nice card. I'm so happy for you. And it's like the Kid Beam with his arms crossed. Oh, Gold Star cards are cool. I unfortunately have not ever owned a Gold Star card. I was never lucky enough to get a Gold Star. These energies though are so sick. I think I'll have like, the fighting energy. That one's rich. I mean, if you're trading, right? If you're trading other cards, usually the price will go down. Usually the price will go down if you're trading like other big value cards. Thank you guys for the hydrate checks. Such a cool set. How much are these if they were hollow foil? Damage $2. Not too bad. Could be worse. I think it could be significantly worse. 100% could be worse. I just traded some childhood stuff. Oh my goodness. I have a really hard time letting go of cards that are like from my childhood. Or like I have this problem where I'm very sentimental towards stuff, which is why I tend to like hoard stuff. By hoard, I mean like I keep it. And I've been really good recently about starting to let stuff go. And like, oh, okay, you know, this meant a lot to me, but the way I tell myself, it's like, oh, I'm gonna probably trade it and it's gonna go to someone else who will care for it the same way I did. So I have a hard time, especially with cards. I have a really hard time letting go of cards, especially if I have like a particular memory associated with the card. Like, for example, I'm trying to think what's a really good example here. It's one of my higher value cards. Sorry, I'm still waking up. I've been awake for a few hours already. My Japanese Lycia Full Art. I got that from a random $1 vending machine in Japan when I was in high school. And that card is like over, I think, $1,000. And I had people ask me about like buying it off of me, and I have a really hard time like being like, yeah, sure, you can buy it off of me, because I associate that card with the memory, you know. But then I'm trying to convince myself now. It's like, oh, you know, if it's a memory, I'll always hold on to that memory, but that card probably I can get something good out of it. You know, it's hard. It's hard. I'm not as attached to, I think, One Piece cards as I am with like Pokemon. I think there's some like One Piece cards I really, really like that I will forever keep. Cough, cough, all of my Nico Robin cards. But yeah. Also, I don't know if any of you guys care about Lorcana. I don't, but I did hear Lorcana recently came out with like a Pixar set, which is this set. Tell me why Buzz Lightyear is $1,750. Like, this is crazy to me. Buzz Lightyear? So I think these are all Pixar, right? Yes, they are. So this is like Brave and oh, this card's so cool actually, Frozen. I really like Incredibles. Incredibles is really cool. Oh, this one's Encanto. Oh, I actually really love this card. Zipper is so funny. Yeah, this is a really cool set actually. I actually really like this alien one. That card does have aura. I agree. That card is super duper cool. Yeah, the Atlantis cards are in here too, which I think is really cool. Leviathan, Guardian of Atlantis. I don't know. I've never learned how to play Lorcana. I've thought about it. But this game I heard can also get a little pricey. Now, why didn't she get a full art? Because low-key, she's kind of hot. Low-key, she's kind of sexy. Mirage? Okay, you guys cannot tell me. Okay, let me just make sure I'm not crazy. I'm like, oh, did Mirage get a full art and I just didn't see it? You guys cannot tell me that you guys did not have a crush on this girl when you watched The Incredibles, because oh my god. Low-key though, I look back in The Incredibles, that movie was definitely not that kid-friendly. It's actually quite like an adult film, as in like, there's some really strong theming there, just like straight up dying. Oh my god. Death. Yeah, Incredibles is really adult. Miss Incredible. Can I be real? I think Miss Incredible's hot, but I don't think I think she's overrated. You know who I think is really hot? The aunt in Big Hero 6. I think that girl sweeps Miss Incredible any day. You didn't like her? Bad taste. Yeah, Incredibles, yeah, the dialogue's really, really adult. Really, really adult. They will honestly, I don't think Disney will ever make a film like Incredibles again. They're too, like, censored now. They have to make sure it's kid friendly. But back then when people weren't, like, super duper like, oh my god, you guys have to make sure this is appropriate for my child. You know? Incredibles is a great film. I actually think it's one of the best Pixar films, if not the best one. Like, my favorite Pixar film is actually Ratatouille. But I think just, like, best film that Pixar has released, I think it's Incredibles. It's a really good movie. If you haven't seen Incredibles, go watch it, because it's, for how old it is and what time it came out in, really good. Mirage and Incredibles was hot. Agreed. Frozone's goated. Frozone's such a cool character. I think the Lorcana cards are cool. I think this being $1,750 is crazy to me. Wow! Death Shredder, thank you so much for the $20 super. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the super. Hey, Poseidon here that Chaotic is finally back. I did. I'm not really super into Chaotic though. I think it's cool that it came back, and I'm happy to see like fans getting really excited. Where is my super suit? Cars 1 is really good, but can I say that I love Cars 1. I think it's a great film. We pretend Cars 2 didn't exist. Cars 3, however, that was the one I actually like really cried. I love the theming in Cars 3 of just like passing the torch onto someone else to like, you know, live their legacy. It's a really good movie. I actually really loved Cars 3. Toy Story best film 2. Yeah, I still think 2 was the best one. My favorite one. I pretend Toy Story 4 didn't exist and Toy Story 3 made me cry. Unused ending for Cars 3? I'm not. Cars 2 was more of a Mater movie. Cars 2 was a Mater movie. What was this one? Oh. This was the Moana. Oh, Eeyore's actually so cute. This is like their winter set. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played Lorcana. I actually heard the game is like pretty good, but I don't know. I'm not like, I like Disney, but I think it's also me being like, I don't want to get into another card game. Ooh, Hades. Oh, this one's, I think, their Halloween set. It's like villains. What is this Goofy? What is this, Ariel? Yeah, Ariel being a nearly $1,000 card makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Toy Story 5? I don't know why they keep doing that. Why are we continuing to make sequels to movies? Like, keep that shit dead. Like, honestly, can we come up with something new? I guess they did try with like what, that one movie called Wish. I never watched it. Cars 2 is a Disney version of 007. Oh my god. Anyways. Smiles. Yeah, this is a cool set actually. I think this is cool. The Omnidroid. I don't know what Shift 2 means. Shift 2, you may pay 2 ink to play this on top of your other characters. When you play this character, if you use Shift to play it, you may deal 2 damage to a chosen character. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about these cards though, because like, you can see some of them, I don't know if it's just like this was just like a design thing where they're supposed to go together, but I don't like that like some of the borders are not fully there. Yeah, making sequels for movies that don't need more. I mean, okay, I understand it from a business standpoint, right? Where a lot of these movies or like these franchises, the people who were watching those movies as children are now adults and they now have their own children. So if they keep creating sequels, the likeliness of them bringing their child to these movie theaters and being like, look, little Tommy, this is Toy Story. This was mommy's favorite movie when she was 8. And, you know, I get it from a business standpoint. It makes them money. But at the same time, I'm also like, brother, what happened to creating original stuff? Wish is certainly, I've never watched it. Okay, I know it's on Disney Plus, and every time I've like opened my Disney Plus and I've looked at it, I'm like, should I watch it? Should I waste the next hour and a half of my life? Be a game. Maybe I would start Union Arena. If you could play a Bandai game, like any Bandai game, you could play Union Arena. There's a mysterious bomber going around killing innocent racers. Oh yeah, that's the film to, that's the thing to Cars 2. We pretend Cars 2 didn't exist because that movie was straight ass. Original stuff doesn't make money. I think they can make money if it's good enough. I mean, look at Encanto, right? It was like an original film and it blew up because the music was really good. And the story itself was good too. Like if they do stuff like that, I think it'd be fine. I really liked Encanto though, so it could be because I also really like Lin-Manuel Miranda. I really like his music, so it could be that too. Play Lorcana, it's not for scalpers. Scalpers are also hitting this product pretty bad too. I don't think it's as bad as Pokemon. I don't think it comes anywhere near Pokemon. However, Disney adults really love this card game, and I can't even blame them. Like, look how nice the cards are. Like, I can't even sit here and be like, oh my god, why are they getting this goddamn card? No, the cards are nice. Like, oh my goodness, I would love to have this Merida card. I love this movie. Brave's a great movie. Wishes it can be good as Encanto. For real. I also think like Wish looked like an incomplete film just based off of, like the trailers I've seen. It didn't look like it was finished. Hey, Encanto is still my favorite recent Disney movie. All right, hot take. My favorite recent Disney movie, and okay, I'm gonna give you context to this. I was watching this with my friends, drunk, okay? So I'm gonna preface this by saying when I'm drunk, typically my emotions are a lot more elevated. So I watched Elio, and I remember people were clowning on this film because like they were like, oh, nobody cares about this shit. But holy moly, I cried so much during Elio. I don't know what it was about Elio that just made me cry. Actually, no, I do know what it was. Farfollow, thank you for the follow. What's with the mind break tag? Don't worry about it. Anyways, the thing with Elio, how do I say it? I think I really resonated. So that, if you haven't seen this movie, a big theming in the movie is like a child or like a kid and their parent relationship, right? And how it can be very, very rocky and very tough at times. Like, you know, you might not agree with your parents about something, even though they want you, you know, they want something for you, but you don't want that yourself. So you have to live with it. And because it was poorly advertised, and that's on their marketing team. The marketing team failed Elio because it's actually such a good movie. So I think because I resonated with that so much, I really ended up loving the film. So yeah, someone's at my door. Hold up. Guys, someone's at my door. If I get kidnapped, you guys know what happened. If I don't come back in the next 5 minutes, call the police. I'll be right back. It's all good. It was just the delivery man. I did not get kidnapped, guys. I did not die. I did not die. Hold on, one moment. What the heck? I'm checking something really quick. Okay. All right, we're good. We're good. Sorry. Alrighty. Should I stop yapping? Everyone's like, yes, Poseidon, shut the fuck up. Poseidon, shut the fuck up. Shut up. She's been replaced by a ditto. I should get like ditto eyes on my model one day, where it's just like blank. I mean, I guess I could do that, where I can just get like, just make these invisible and just put dots on here. There's an imposter among us. Would you guys believe me if I ever told you I've actually never played Among Us? Would you guys believe me if I've actually never played Among Us before? I've never played that game. I've seen people watch it. Like, I enjoy watching people play the game, but I haven't actually played it myself. I don't know. I'm really bad at playing those type of games because I'm really bad at lying. because you can tell right away when I'm lying. Because I laugh. I'll sit there and be like, yeah, it's not me. It's not me. Not me. Not me. Mm-mm. Why you should believe me? Because you should. Not very convincing, am I? So that's why I don't play those games. It wasn't my piece of cake. It's like one of those things where I don't like playing, but I enjoy other people playing it. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoy watching other people play it. Like 300 hours. It got too easy. What do you mean it got too easy? What do you mean by that? Anyways, we shall get going. Anyways, we're back with more Sci and React. We're going to be reacting to Wolfie VGC today. How this Pokemon ruined competitive play. I didn't see the thumbnail for too long before I clicked on the video, but I did see, I believe, Urshifu, which makes sense. Whenever people bring up Urshifu, it sounds like they really hate that goddamn Pokemon. So we'll be watching how this Pokemon ruined competitive play by Wolfie VGC.
Pokemon should not work, at least not as a competitive game. There are over 1,000 different characters and incredibly complex type chart that makes rock.
I still don't understand the type chart.
Paper, scissors.
But I understand. I mean, I don't remember a lot of it.
Look like
I'm getting
rock,
better
rock,
though.
Rock, and unique centralizing mechanics added every 3 years. It's a game that anyone can see has no business working competitively. There's too many variables. There's just too much going on. It shouldn't be possible that it works. And yet, it does. And the single biggest factor in allowing Pokemon to actually operate as a competitive game has to do with a single move.
Yeah, Yoga Loop, Metachan V taking turn 2 and 3 in time against Rapid Strike. Oh my god, I fucking hated Yoga Loop, dude. That was the fucking worst.
Something flashy like Gigantamax Wildfire or Batty Bad, but a move that doesn't even do any damage.
I love Batty Bad.
A move that is nearly worthless during a traditional playthrough of the game. A move that someone new to competitive Pokemon would certainly glance right over.
What is it? Protect?
Protect is a very...
You know how I know this is an older Wolfie video? It's the editing style. I feel like the editing style has definitely changed over time. Not that this one's bad. I think this is a great editing style, but it's definitely different than his recent ones.
During this turn, the user doesn't take any damage. It can't be used successively without risking a high chance of failure, and nearly every Pokemon in the game learns it. It isn't fancy, but it is the bedrock of competitive Pokemon. Thanks to Protect, the game is able to center around positioning and preservation. Because competitive Pokemon is entirely double battles, being able to keep your Pokemon safe while your partner takes out a threat, or you switch out to gain a better matchup or more support, is the only reason this game works at all. Without Protect, competitive Pokemon would center entirely around whose offense could blow through the other person's first. And games would be decided nearly instantaneously based on who had a better turn 1. Because Protect is the foundation of competitive Pokemon, getting around it is really tricky. You can
there's some moves, right, that go through Protect?
Fit to using Feint,
but there's not a lot
super weak move that can break Protect, but it will do next to nothing if the opponent doesn't go for it, and it also requires your partner to actually be the one doing the damage. You could use Imprison, which can stop opponents from using Protect, but it takes a turn, 2 of your own Pokemon's moves, and it isn't even given to that many Pokemon in the first place. There's a couple other, even more niche moves that can get around it, but you probably get the picture. To get around Protect, you need to invest a ton of resources, and even then, it'll be inconsistent at best. Or, hear me out, you can pay $30.
What do you mean by $30?
Our tragic tale begins all the way back in Sword and Shield. After a massive release of the franchise's first ever mainline game on a home console, Pokemon had a decision to make. It was clear that the model of releasing a sequel game was no longer working after the disaster that was Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, but bonus content added onto the main game of the generation was still a good way to make money and hold fans over until the next generation. The solution Pokemon came up with was the modern idea of paid DLC. There would be 2 of these, and the first one, the Isle of Armor, added a new sub-region to explore and introduced several new Pokemon. Pokemon. One of those additions changed competitive Pokemon in a way we literally could not see coming. The Isle of Armor's exclusive legendary Pokemon was called Urshifu, and it had the brand new ability, Unseen.
Not only was this motherfucker probably a menace in the VGC, even in TCG, Rapid Strike Urshifu was a deck that was really fucking scary to deal with.
Fist, which allows any attack it uses that makes contact to bypass Protect and its counterparts like Spiky Shield, Obstruct, Detect, Baneful Bunker,
definitely
Pink
not
Shield,
broken. Nope.
Wait, what is
definitely not broken.
Oh, it's Spidops' signature move. That's probably why I didn't know what it was. Now, this isn't the first time that Pokemon has experimented with allowing moves to hit
Max Rapid Flow sad face.
The first time was 7 years ago with the release of Sun and Moon and their unique Z move mechanic. These once per battle super powerful moves would still do damage through Protect, though it was only a quarter of what they would have done otherwise. The same concept was used once more with the introduction of Dynamax and Sword and Shield, where Dynamax Pokemon's moves would turn into super powerful Max moves. Just like Z moves, using a Max move into Protect resulted in a quarter of the damage going through. Importantly, while these moves could bypass Protect, it's clear that Pokemon realized just how dangerous this was, so they built in several checks to these mechanics. Only doing a quarter of your damage is a massive deal, as is the fact that these powerful moves can't be used recklessly. Z moves could only be used once per battle, so you really didn't want to use them in front of Protect. And while Dynamax lasted for 3 turns, each of these moves was weaker than their Z move counterpart, and Max moves could be blocked completely with Max Guard, the Dynamax equivalent of Protect. Add on to this the doubled HP pool of Dynamax Pokemon, and you'll see that while each of these mechanics were very powerful, they didn't break the game because they still allowed Protect to do its job. So, it's clear that Pokemon understands how precarious the game really is. And the proverbial duct tape holding it all together is a beautiful little move that lets your monsters chill out for a single turn. So you might imagine that Urshifu, a Pokemon that can hit through Protect, would have similar limitations to the other ways of bypassing Protect, right? Right? For some reason, Game Freak decided that they should throw out the entire basis holding competitive Pokemon together, and that Urshifu would do 100% of its damage when hitting through Protect. No drawback, no downsides, just 100% pure bare fist in your Spidops face.
Crazy.
The single restriction placed on Urshifu is that the only moves it can use that go through Protect are moves that make physical contact with the opponent. Thankfully for the worst bear of all time, all of the relevant moves it likes to use make physical contact. Effectively, this restriction is like taking a kid to a dollar store and saying, hey, don't spend more than, I don't know, 100,000 bucks. It's not doing a whole lot. Of course, an ability alone does not make a Pokemon great. There are several Pokemon with absurd abilities, but they're balanced out by other factors to make sure they don't take over the game. Giving Unseen Fist to a Pokemon like, I don't know, Spidops, for example, wouldn't make any impact on the game except to give YouTubers some extra content. But Unseen Fist isn't exclusive to
actually like good back then? I don't remember. I mean, to be fair, I don't follow VGC very much, so I don't know. Was Spidops actually banger?
Pokemon that even other bug types are embarrassed to share the same patch of grass with. Unseen Fist was given to Urshifu and Urshifu only, who is not only one of the single strongest Pokemon introduced in all of Sword and Shield, but it's also a Pokemon with two forms, making it twice as versatile. Now, sometimes Pokemon having different forms doesn't really change anything. There are a ton of Pokemon with forms that are purely aesthetic, and even when there are differences between forms, oftentimes there's either a clear best option, like with Basculegion, who has different stats depending on gender, or the two forms are similar enough that the differences are minor, like with Tatsugiri. Urshifu is the rare case where although each of its forms are unbelievably broken, they're also distinct enough that it does really function as two different Pokemon. Both Urshifu forms share the same stats and mostly the same move pool. Where they differ is their signature move and their typings. Urshifu Rapid Strike is a water and fighting type, whereas Urshifu Single Strike is a dark and fighting type. Their signature moves are extremely powerful attacks, called Surging Strikes and Wicked Blow, respectively. These are high base power moves that always result in a critical hit, and Surging Strikes actually hits 3 times. To make matters worse,
Wonderful.
you can't tell which Urshifu form it is at Team Preview.
Really? What? It doesn't, there's not like a different sprite for it? That's kind of buns.
Huge tournament was actually won during Sword and Shield with 5 water types and Urshifu Dark. Opponents unlucky enough to go up against this team simply assumed it was Urshifu Water and were then caught off guard. You might notice that none of these things that we're talking about are exclusive to Scarlet and Violet. In fact, Urshifu Single Strike received a slight nerf on its signature move in these games, and the team preview issue is less of a problem for live events now that we use team sheets detailing each player's team before the battle. So why am I making this video now and not when Urshifu was introduced 3 years ago? When Urshifu was released, the premier gimmick of the region it was born into was Dynamax. With Dynamax, once per game, any Pokemon on your team could inflate itself into a kaiju for 3 turns, gaining double its health and access to those stronger max moves we were talking about earlier that also had secondary effects, activating stat boosts or changing effects on the field. Any non-damaging moves would be converted into Max Guard, which was just a super protect that could even block max moves. Crucially, Max Guard could block other moves, including ones affected by Urshifu's Unseen Fist. For the first ever DLC in Pokemon history, it was kind of a no-brainer that Game Freak made the Pokemon you'd be paying for pretty strong, even strong enough to exist and thrive in a format with Dynamax threats. But given how overpowered Urshifu was, it was a relief that they didn't forget to give it counterplay. With Max Guard, trainers at least had some type of defense against Urshifu.
Yeah, that's fair.
And even though Max Guard wasn't always a great use of your 3 turns of Dynamax, the doubled HP pool of Dynamax Pokemon made Urshifu getting attacks off much less of an issue. With a mechanic like Dynamax being so integral to the game, the existence of Urshifu still isn't justifiable, but it was at least manageable. Let's fast forward to Generation 9. Terastallization is the new mechanic. Once a battle, a Pokemon on your team can change their type. In my opinion, this is a much more flexible...
You know, I used to not really be a huge fan of like the Terra mechanic. But I think it's, now that I've like been learning more VGC, I think it's cool being able to like change your type and like your opponent being like, oh fuck, wait, my super effective moves are no longer super effective. Or like different stab moves just hurt more now.
And dynamic addition to the game than Dynamax. But a problem lurks on the horizon for our Crystal competitors. Pokemon Home's release sneaks up all too quickly, and to every VGC player in the world's surprise, Urshifu is legal again. And this time, Dynamax isn't here to save us. But the sponsor of today's video might be able to save you. Especially if you haven't got a gift for your loved ones for Valentine's Day yet. Holzkern is a regular sponsor of videos.
Alright, who's gonna get me a Holzkern
on this channel, and it's one of my favorites.
Right, because you love me, chat. Right. Hello? Warner, thank you for the follow.
They create unique watches and jewelry that feature FSC certified wood and other natural materials. I really love watches, and I wear one that
looks so British. Do I look British? Thank you. I appreciate it. That's a horrible accent.
Holzkern sent me almost every single day. This one's my current go-to. I really like
I don't
how
really want to watch. I love my Apple Watch.
The dark wood looks against the brighter metal.
Cool.
This year, I got my loved ones Holzkern watches as gifts, and I'm sure they'll be a hit.
If someone gave me a Holzkern watch for a gift, I would not be mad.
Holzkern has over 1,000 products to choose from. I actually was a little overwhelmed when I first looked at their website because of all the options. The good news is, because of all the different choices, I'm sure you'll be able to find something you love. And if you're purchasing something from Holzkern as a gift for a loved one, there's guaranteed delivery before Valentine's Day as long as you place your order by February 11th. Go to holzkern.com/wolfievgc and use code wolfie15 for 15% off your order.
Hell yeah.
Thanks again to Holzkern for sponsoring this video.
Wasn't that bad. Thank you for thinking my accent isn't that bad. I need to watch more Bridgerton. I feel like my British accent is really good when I'm in the middle of rewatching Bridgerton, because I'm just like immersing myself in British accents. But now that I haven't seen Bridgerton in a few months, my British accent has been kind of bummed.
Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that Max Guard or even Dynamax as a whole was the only counter to Urshifu. The strategies we have available now to counter it, though, are a little bit limited. By far, the more popular Urshifu form is Rapid Strike, largely due to its signature move, Surging Strikes. Surging Strikes has two characteristics that all but guarantee that when it's directed into the correct slot, it's taking a KO. First, it will always critical hit. This is true of Wicked Blow as well. Critical hits do three things. They do 50% more damage, they ignore any defense boosts on the Pokemon getting crit and any offensive drops on the Pokemon doing the critting, and finally, they make people who need therapy punch holes in their computer. The important thing to take away from this is stat reduction tactics like Intimidate or Charm won't save you. Now, we've seen this always crit mechanic implemented with almost no issues on Paldea's fully evolved and fully bipedal Grass Starter, Meowscarada's signature move, Flower Trick. But Flower Trick is meaningfully weaker than Surging Strikes, and Meowscarada is much weaker than Urshifu. Also, Grass-type attacks have 5 resistances, whereas Water only has 3. Also, and this is just like a really tiny minor thing, Meowscarada can't hit through Protect. Second thing that makes Surging Strikes broken is that it hits 3 times.
Not that bad.
Not
As an
only
Australian, I approve the British accent. You know what? Thank you. That's the one accent I really want to learn, but I struggle so much is I want to do an Australian accent. Because whenever I try to do like an Australian accent, I just find myself like slipping back into like a British accent.
Does this mean that defensive options like the item Focus Sash and the ability Sturdy don't work against it, but it also makes the animation take longer, which is especially tilting when playing against Urshifu.
Wait, how long is the animation?
Each hit does 25 damage or 37.5 with the crit, totaling to 112 base power. Keep in mind that typically all moves with 100 base power or higher are given a meaningful drawback. Whether that's imperfect accuracy or recoil, the stronger a move is, the more significant the cost of using it. In Urshifu's case, they created a move well over this threshold that, rather than having a drawback, instead has the advantage of always critting. Surging Strikes' water typing has a hidden extra benefit in that it can be powered up by 50% in the rain. Urshifu's threatening enough.
Look how happy this guy is, Joe Brown. Look at that smile on his face. Look at him being a villain.
Even without rain being active. In the rain, even Pokemon that resist Surging Strikes can't switch in safely. Between the sheer power of the Pokemon and the removal of consistent counterplay once again, since you can't protect in front of it, you can see why this Pokemon might be considered a problem.
I mean, might. It is a problem. What do you mean, might? It is a problem.
The reason I wanted to make this video is because Urshifu is the only Pokemon that's broken to come out of Sword and Shield.
Smiles.
Good thing these games didn't add any other horrifying, overpowered, stupidly broken Pokemon, right?
Right? They wouldn't do something like that again. They made a mistake one time. Surely they won't do that again.
Okay, so obviously a lot of the Pokemon that were added during Sword and Shield
I'm so glad they changed Unseen Fist and chance to deal 1/4 damage to protect. Thank fucking God.
are really strong. So why are we talking about Urshifu specifically? I don't think that many people would try and argue that Urshifu is stronger than Zacian, and you could probably even make a case that it's not as strong as something like Fluttermane, though I don't know how many people would agree with you. The thing is, strength isn't what we're talking about here. Urshifu completely breaks competitive Pokemon in a way that is completely unique to any other Pokemon. The problem with Urshifu is that it operates outside the rules of the game. It's kind of like if in Chess 2, they added a knight who could move 2 turns in a row. Maybe it wouldn't have as much raw strength as something like your queen, but it would still completely warp the game around
I think I'm going to win Worlds this year.
it. Competitive Pokemon is entirely balanced around Protect, and having a Pokemon that ignores Protect with no drawback, and having that Pokemon be incredibly strong on its own, it totally breaks the game.
Yeah, no thank
typically
you.
when a physical Pokemon is dominating the metagame, Reflect and Intimidate crop up to slow them down. But thanks to its signature move always critting, this doesn't work against Urshifu. Pokemon with water resistances can still be KO'd in 2 hits if Urshifu is boosted in some way with a Terra or in the rain. Outspeeding Urshifu is extremely difficult when it can run a Choice Scarf or be paired with Tornadus. And some
wonderful. Tailwind.
players even opt to do both. And if you can't outspeed Urshifu and you can't protect in front of
you just shit and cry. That's what you do. You can't outspeed it. Just curl up in a ball and cry.
Your only remaining option is to simply take the damage. Even using Psychic, Flying, and Fairy type attacks isn't that effective, as Urshifu Rapid Strike will often run Terra Water, eliminating over half of its weaknesses and boosting its damage output further. Of the 6 major events that have happened since Urshifu was added to Scarlet and Violet, it has won 5 of them. The only one it didn't win, it finished 2nd. This isn't necessarily a feature of raw strength. Rather, even teams with specific Urshifu counterplay can't stop it. As an example, Gastrodon was something that many players considered going into this year's World Championship. With its Storm Drain ability, it's not only immune to all water moves, but it forces them to target Gastrodon, making it one of the best answers to Urshifu on paper in the game. You would think that with Gastrodon in the form,
surely Gastrodon, right, solves this issue. Storm Drain, no big deal.
A Pokemon good enough to have won World Championships even before Urshifu was introduced, that we would have a reliable counter if somebody wanted one, right? But even the world's most slippery slug can't do anything to Urshifu.
What do you mean by that?
Close combat still hits incredibly hard, and even if you found a way around close combat, Gastrodon still couldn't reliably stop Urshifu. The thing is, while Gastrodon has an amazing matchup versus Urshifu, it's not well positioned versus a lot of the other top Pokemon. In competitive Pokemon, players select 4 of their 6 Pokemon each battle, leaving 2 behind. So players using Urshifu aren't even forced to bring it versus Gastrodon if they don't want to. Slug players, on the other hand, have to play a super dangerous game of chicken. Should they bring Gastrodon, knowing that they'll likely be at a disadvantage if the opponent doesn't bring Urshifu? Or should they instead
Japanese
bluff?
name being Tritodon, kind of like Triton. King Triton and shit. Is that what it means?
And leave it behind, exposing themselves to an Urshifu sweep. All of the power here is in the hands of the Urshifu player, in a matchup that in theory they should be heavily disadvantaged. This isn't just a Gastrodon problem either. Amoonguss is a Pokemon that
I do love Gastrodon. Gastrodon's just a little guy. Look guys, it's Pokemon 591!
Paper destroys Urshifu. With its great natural bulk, recovery via its regenerator ability, grass typing, ability to redirect attacks with Rage Powder, and access to Spore, it seems like a great, flexible Pokemon that is capable of stopping Urshifu. Even more so when you add on the Rocky Helmet, an item that does damage every time the holder is hit with a contact move, which is especially effective against the 3 hits of Surging Strikes. But even with all of this, it isn't enough to be a consistent answer to Urshifu. The world's winning Urshifu, for example, ran Taunt, a move that decimates Amoonguss, and other players have had success with things such as Safety Goggles Urshifu, allowing them to completely ignore Amoonguss and actually turn it into a liability. For pretty much every possible counter you can think of, the Urshifu players have a response. It's worth noting that in the current format, we're mostly talking about Urshifu Water. While Urshifu Dark is still powerful, its typing is worse both offensively and defensively, and it really struggles against Iron Hands, who not only resists its powerful Wicked Blow, but can also hit it for super effective damage and heal back up. Urshifu Dark having at least one actual counter right now makes it much more manageable than its slippery sibling. So, Urshifu is a Pokemon that not only fundamentally breaks the game via its ability that operates outside the rules of competitive Pokemon, but it's also got no drawbacks to any of its absurd strengths, a ton of flexibility with how it can be played, and virtually no consistent counters. Unfortunately, we haven't finished talking about its strengths. Some Pokemon are extremely powerful, but require very specific support in order to bring out their full potential. Torkoal, for example, can take out entire teams on its own, but it requires Trick Room to be used most effectively. Urshifu, however, doesn't need any one
So he's just a standalone Pokemon that's just good wherever you put him?
Type of support, but benefits immensely from lots of the top Pokemon in the format. One of the most obvious pairings is Urshifu and Tornadus. With Tornadus' Prankster ability, it's able to set Tailwind up before any other Pokemon moves, immediately doubling the speed of your team. It can also use Rain Dance to boost Urshifu's power significantly, and Bleak Wind Storm to hit the grass types that resist Surging Strikes. Urshifu, when paired with Tornadus, can hold an item to do more damage, such as Mystic Water, or it can hold a Choice Scarf to allow it to beat other Tailwind-centric teams. Urshifu also pairs incredibly really well with the new Pokemon Chien-Pao. Thanks to its Sword of Ruin
a
ability, when
goddamn
it's on the
cat.
field,
Mr.
all other
Sword
Pokemon
Cat.
take more damage from physical moves. Giving Urshifu an additional damage boost when it's already so strong is terrifying. Not to mention the fact that Chien-Pao's high speed and access to priority moves allows it to combo with Urshifu easily, often KOing a Pokemon before they can move. This is a good time to bring up the fact that because Urshifu hits through Protect, players are just way less likely to click Protect in front of Urshifu in general. In other words, Urshifu allows your partner Pokemon to kind of gain its ability as a side benefit. For offensive teams with strong and fast Pokemon, this increases the
Pokemon, please don't add this motherfucker into champions.
amount of pressure they put on immensely. Not that you need to lean into offense to support Urshifu. There are several support Pokemon that pair very well with it, 2 of whom were used this year to win the World Championships. Iron Hands is a great partner for Urshifu because despite sharing a fighting typing,
Thank you very much. Take an extra prize card, bozo.
Iron Hands has access to the move Fake Out. This stops the target from moving, but only works the first turn after Iron Hands has switched in. Normally, one of the best ways to deal with Fake Out pressure is to just protect with both of your Pokemon, but in front of Urshifu, that doesn't work, obviously.
Nope.
And Iron Hands isn't the only Fake Out user around. Rillaboom is an incredibly popular Grass-type Pokemon that pairs well with Urshifu for similar reasons as Iron Hands, providing Fake Out pressure and a lot of bulk. Both Rillaboom
Can't wait for
and
Among Us to get added into champions while leaving out the safety goggles. Oh man, I'm really hoping within like the next maybe few months they start adding like some of those missing items. We need to revisit champions. It was fun when I was playing.
The Iron Hands are good as well because they can hit the water type Pokemon for super effective damage that resist Urshifu's surging strikes. Speaking of grass types, the other world-winning Urshifu support Pokemon was Amoonguss. Amoonguss is one of the best support Pokemon ever, redirecting attacks with Rage Powder, healing its partner with Pollen Puff, and disabling opponents with Spore. Most teams only have 1 or 2 Pokemon that are immune to Spore, so if Amoonguss hits the field at a time when you aren't able to knock it out, the typical play is to protect and switch in an immunity to Sleep. This strategy is not the best one in front of Urshifu, meaning on top of keeping Urshifu safe and healthy, Amoonguss can help to put opponents in a lose-lose situation, where they're forced to either take a powerful Surging Strikes or a Spore. There's lots more Pokemon that pair well with Urshifu, but by highlighting how some of the strongest Pokemon in the format, independent of Urshifu, also enable it to be even more menacing, I think you get the gist. It is worth noting that there is counterplay to Urshifu. I wouldn't say that these are hard counters, as in add this Pokemon to your team and you'll never have to worry about Urshifu, but instead that it is possible for teams without Urshifu to beat teams with it. The best thing you can do to make sure you don't get run over by the bear is to move before it attacks. Using things like Tailwind, Trick Room, and certain speed booster Pokemon like Fluttermane and Roaring Moon are effective at letting you move before it. At my most recent tournament, I ran Speed Booster, Terra Grass, Energy Ball Fluttermane, allowing me to outspeed and KO even Choice Scarf Urshifu, for example. If you can't outspeed it, you can at least hope to trade favorably with it. If you have 2 Pokemon on the field that are bulky enough and can threaten enough damage, such as Iron Hands and Rillaboom, you can force the Urshifu player to double into one of your Pokemon if they want to take it out, and attack with both of your own Pokemon in return into Urshifu to try and force a trade. Of course, if they protect, you can be out of luck, but many Urshifu hold the Choice Scarf item, making them harder to keep safe. Fake Out is a great move against Urshifu in general because it allows you to reposition without
make him forget what he's supposed to do.
Taking a big attack, kind of like a pseudo protect in this case. It helps that, like I mentioned, 2 of the best Fake Out users do match up pretty well against Urshifu. An offensive Grassy Glide user like a Rillaboom with a way to boost its damage, or an Ogerpon when paired with Rillaboom, is a new way to outspeed and KO Urshifu, though Intimidate can render this tactic less effective. Rocky Helmet is a great item against Urshifu, though it should never be your sole answer for it. Oftentimes, it can be used for meaningful chip against Urshifu, or to discourage Urshifu from attacking one of your Pokemon in the first place, which can be especially helpful on Pokemon that provide speed control like Tornadus and Farigiraf. There are some other tricks you can use to make Urshifu's life a little harder, but for the most part, this is how Urshifu needs to be stopped. Not with a single Pokemon, but with a collection of tools that each make its life harder on their own. This is very difficult to pull off. I mean, even with players doing their utmost to stop Urshifu, it continues to win tournaments. I was personally very hopeful that Ogerpon Water might be the hard counter to Urshifu we so desperately need. But Choice Scarf Urshifu just outspeeds it and uses U-turn into it every time it hits the field, eventually whittling it down to where it can't do its job anymore. So now you know all there is to know about Urshifu. And I think that means
so Urshifu's enemy number 1. Got it.
It's time to answer our question. Is Urshifu ruining competitive Pokemon? I think the answer is complicated. First of all, competitive Pokemon is not ruin. Even now, when there's a Pokemon dominating competitive play that's nearly impossible to stop, players are finding clever innovations and creative Pokemon that can work. Tournament attendance is the highest it's ever been for this part of a generation, and players are still having fun
bigger
with the
and
game.
bigger.
But I think the game would be much better without Urshifu. Just because it's still going well now, that doesn't mean that Urshifu's presence is anything other than a huge net negative on the game. Having a Pokemon that breaks
Kill Urshifu! Kill all the Urshifus!
the rules of the game also be so powerful, at the end of the day, just isn't fun. And the severely limited counterplay is the final nail in the coffin.
In the coffin. Get it? Because he was gonna say coffin, but okay. I know. I was trying to be funny, chat, but you know, I'm not. I mean, not me laughing at my own jokes. Anyways, we'll get to our next video. Oh my gosh, more M&J TV because baby Mikey videos are fun to watch. We're gonna be watching the 13 worst places to live in Pokemon. Where would I not want to live in Pokemon? Low-key? I don't think I want to live in the Kalos region. I feel like the Kalos region, something's like always going on over there. The world's gonna explode always from that region. So I don't think I'd ever want to live in the Kalos region. You know, after playing Pokemon Legends EA, Lumiose City, it's Lumiose, right? Yeah, Lumiose City. Whatever, Paris. No, thank you. You know that town by the volcano in Hoenn? That place seems like ass. Rent's really cheap over there, okay? Rent, $200 a month. Number 1, Florida, because USA exists in the form of Unova. Where is Florida in Unova? What city is Florida? What, like, area of Unova is considered Florida? We have Zygarde to protect us. I don't trust no Zygarde, okay? Listen, by the time he showed up, a lot of shit already went down. I don't trust Zygarde. Hoenn, you ain't getting Amazon Prime. Anyways, 13 worst places to live in Pokemon.
Fans! Michael here, and every Pokemon fan at some point or another has envisioned themselves living within the Pokemon world. I certainly have, and I think it would be great with the super important assumption that the physics of the Pokemon world are those of the anime. If there's gonna be giant fire-breathing dragons just walking around, them blasting me needs to do no more than cover me in some soot. However, even if Pokemon themselves were not in immediately present danger, there are still quite a few places in the Pokemon world that I would rather not live. Today, I'm going to be listing every city and town in main series Pokemon in generational order that I would absolutely not be
Kanto seems chill.
willing to live in. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. I meant to say please, and I just said thank you. Okay, I guess you did it.
Thank you and
Thanks.
please.
Let's dive in. The first place is Cinnabar Island. In the Kanto games, it seems like a nice little
Cinnabar?
island town.
Yeah,
Featuring
it's
a
like
world-renowned
it's chill over
research
there.
lab, a gym that's sure to boost the local economy due to travelers, and the Pokemon Mansion. The mansion is not as nice, but it is a pretty interesting local training ground.
Yeah,
Now,
it's
some
like
of you
a-
may be
like
thinking
a
that
relic.
Cinnabar Island would be an undesirable place to live because, well, there are no houses. The only buildings on the
Oh, I was about to be like, that's a nice island. It's pretty chill.
island are
There's no one else that lives
the
there.
mansion, gym, lab, mart, and Pokemon Center. Where would anyone realistically live? For Cinnabar Island
I don't
and
know.
almost every other town I discuss in this video, I will not be taking the number of buildings literally. Most of these towns were designed on small handheld consoles decades ago, So due to that limited power and memory, it didn't make any sense for them to add extra unnecessary buildings for the sake of realism. Because of that, I'm just gonna assume all the towns and cities have a realistic number of buildings and homes. And that all of them don't face the same direction. So Cinnabar Island seems like a nice island town in the Kanto games, but then you fast forward to the Johto games and see that the whole place has blown up. At some point in the 3 years between the events of the Kanto and Johto games, the volcano on Cinnabar Island erupted, destroying the whole town. All that remains is a Pokemon Center, which is likely a new one constructed after the eruption. And yes, Cinnabar Island does have a volcano. It doesn't look like that in the games, but if you look closely on the Kanto maps, all of them, even dating back to Gen 1, you can see that there is indeed a volcano nearby. It's inconsistent as to where it is in
That's fair. That's fair. I'm not gonna argue with that.
relation to the island, but it does exist. So in short, living on Cinnabar before the eruption means that there's going to be an eruption, and living on Cinnabar after the eruption means, I guess, staying in the Pokemon Center on a slab of nothing in the ocean? No thank you. I'll continue in generational order, so the next town I'd rather not live in is Blackthorn City in the Johto region. Now, this city is not an immediate threat to my well-being like Cinnabar
I just think this city is just boring.
Island could be. However, I still would rather not live there because it is too darn isolated. Blackthorn City is nestled in the mountains.
It's boring. There's like nothing there.
Mountains in the northeast of Johto. In the games, the route to the south is Route 45, a one-way route due to it being a consistent descent down a canyon. That means the only way to get to Blackthorn by foot is to trudge through the Ice Path, a frigid, dark, and large cave. The Ice Path is such a grueling journey that there are no trainers in there, whereas most other connecting caves have at least a few. I know some people like living in remote places, but I am not one of those people.
I could live in a remote place, but it has to be in a very particular remote place. You know what I mean? It can't just be. I don't want to live in like the middle of a field or like a desert, but I think it'd be nice to like live in the middle of a forest or something where I'm surrounded by nature and I could possibly get killed, you know? Anyways.
Close to civilization so that there's access to resources and amenities and good medical care. And that way, if there's some kind of crisis, people bringing in help can get there easily. Blackthorn, being so isolated, seems like a food shortage waiting to happen. What happens if the ice path caves in, guys? Did you think about that? Now, of course, you can get to Blackthorn City through the air. Probably just by using flying Pokemon, though, because I don't really see a spot for
that one town in like, or that one like settlement in like the middle of, what is it? The Grand Canyon, I think, where there's like a bunch of indigenous people who like, it's a tribe that lives there. What if it's like that and like every now and then there's like a helicopter that drops off food? What if it's one of those?
Plane or a helicopter, do you? However, that being absolutely necessary is a deal breaker for me. Because flying Pokemon isn't always the best mode of transport, especially when the weather's not good. And also, I may not have a large enough flying Pokemon. What if I'm not a trainer? What if I'm an accountant?
What if I'm just an accountant?
My God, how would I get in and out of the city? I wouldn't. I'd just be stuck in the mountains accounting all day. No, thank you. Ha-ha! It is I, Grunty Boy. Ugh, what do you want? Do you remember the time I was here when we talked about Dr. Squatch, the sponsor of today's video?
Dr. Squatch is kinda hot.
Do I remember when you broke into my house and showered?
I didn't say anything.
Showered in my shower using my bar of Dr. Squatch? The image is forever burned into my mind. I wish I could forget it, but I have not. Well, neither have I. My life has been wildly improved since I switched to using Dr. Squatch. It feels amazing on my skin, and I have never smelled better. Plus, it's made with all natural ingredients, so my worries about harsh chemicals in my soap are gone. I'm really glad to hear you're enjoying the soap. I'm enjoying it.
I miss when YouTubers had little skits with their alter egos. Yeah, it's definitely, I think, an older YouTuber thing.
Using it as well.
I do
but
love
did
these.
you really come all this way to tell me about the greatness
They
of a
didn't
soap
account
that
for that.
I use?
Chat, why do you guys have to be funny?
Already and actually introduced you to? No, I came to ask for more. Can't you just buy some more? What do you mean buy more? I never bought any in the first place. What do you mean you didn't? Wait. Have you been using my shower and my Dr. Squatch this whole time? Well,
Yes.
it's great soap. Grunty boy, you know what? I want you to take this bar of grapefruit IPA. It is my favorite scent, but I'm going to
I would have read that as grapefruit IPA, but you know, that's just me.
give it to you on the condition
Yeah, sharing like soap bars is so gross to me.
that you use it in your own shower and completely stop using both my shower and my Dr. Squatch. Okay, but what do I do when this bar runs out? You buy your own. You and any other new customers can get 20% off orders of $20 or more by heading to drsquatch.com and using code DSCMNJTV20. The link is in the description below. All right, I admit that's a good deal. Thanks, shower buddy. Ta-ta! I told you not to call me
We didn't
that.
have the same shower as siblings growing up.
Anyway.
I did, but so I didn't really use bar soap growing up. I used like shower gel. That's what my parents bought. But now I was told I was a freak for this, by the way. I was told I was like being too much. Okay, so my shower routine, I use like one of those like Dove soap, like unscented antibacterial bars. And I use an African net sponge. I don't use like a normal loofah. So I take that, I soap up my African net sponge, and I'm like doing it now. You can hear me like go. I really like scrub my body with that. I wash, all right? And then I go in with like a nice scented shower gel. So my favorite shower gel is, what is it? It's called something dates from Lush. It's a nice shower gel. I have like the big bottle. It was like $40, but I love the smell of it. Sticky Dates, there we go. So it's a nice scented, I like vanilla scents. So then I go again with my like sponge, my African net sponge, and then I wash my body a second time in the shower. Apparently that's doing too much. Washing your body twice in the shower is too much. I was told that I didn't need to do that, but I just like feeling extra clean.
Thanks so much to Dr. Squatch for sponsoring this video, but now let's get back to it.
buy
Now we
this
move
shit
on
from
to the
Walmart.
Hoenn
Yeah, I've
region.
seen it at Walmart.
And while I love Hoenn and really
I know. What I recommend, the reason why I use like Dove antibacterials, because I do also have sensitive skin. So that could also be something. Sensitive skin doesn't really like scented stuff. Like I could still put scented stuff, it'll be fine. But if your body can't handle like scented soaps that have like essential oils in them, definitely I really recommend the Dove antibacterial soap. It's just like a white Dove bar. I love that thing. I go through it really fast.
appreciate all
I think I go through like a bar every month or so.
the creative and unique town designs in that region. I appreciate them in the realm of a fictional video game. If I had to live in the Hoenn region, my goodness, there are several towns where I would rather not.
Yeah, Hoenn, you would just die.
First,
Hoenn, I mean, you look Kyogre and Groudon literally just tried to end the world.
let's talk about Fortree City. Fortree City is
Just
one
a
of my
city in the sky.
favorite towns in Pokemon since I've always
It's a cool
loved
town.
tree houses and treehouse civilizations, like those of the Ewoks, the Swiss Family Robinson, or the Freedom Fighters in Avatar. Fortree City is the really awesome Pokemon equivalent of that, but my goodness, living there would be incredibly impractical. All the tree houses in the game
Every
versions
time you had to go down a ladder, climb back up. If you need something at the store, you have to carry everything up there. Yeah, I'm good.
require the climbing of a ladder to access. I am physically capable of climbing a ladder and would probably get in good enough shape enough to do it all the time. However, if I have one arm or one leg injury potentially happening while constantly climbing ladders, then I'm in deep trouble. And even if I'm not injured, How do I get my groceries up? It's not stairs, I need my hands. I would be more open to living there if there was some kind of rope and pulley elevator system implemented, but even with that, I would still be pretty hesitant. A resident of Fortree says that by living in the trees, bug Pokemon sometimes crawl through
I'm good. That's all you needed to say.
your windows. Could you imagine
I'm okay.
waking
No,
up in the
thank you.
middle of the night to a Nincada on your face?
I'm okay.
No, thank you. Also, while it doesn't rain there in-game, the residents talk about how it rains there a lot, and it's how the trees have been able to grow so large. Now, I think that's great and beautiful. I wouldn't want to live there. I like my sunlight. Another Hoenn town that I think is really cool, but would not want to live in, is Pacifilog Town. It's a town entirely made of wooden rafts and floating logs in the middle of the ocean.
I feel like this is also very dangerous.
Built upon a Corsola colony. Supposedly the ancestors of the people in Pacifilog Town were born on boats and lived and died aboard them. Is it interesting? Absolutely. Would I love to spend a brief vacation there? For sure. Would I want to spend all of my time there? Oh no!
I'm good.
No! If I lived in Pacifilog Town, I would basically always be wet. The logs sink a bit when you walk on them. The rafts are not super tall, so water's gonna be constantly splashing on over top of them. I would have to swim all the time, even when I was not in the mood for, or if it was cold outside. Also, the platforms are rafts, meaning they float and move. So it'd basically be like constantly living on a boat.
I don't know. I feel like this is a dangerous, listen. You don't know how deep that water can be. Imagine you as a child who doesn't know how to swim living in this town just falls in, you just die.
Now, some people do that. I am not a person who wants to do that. Also, I'm concerned about resource supply. Not just like power and internet, which I don't understand how they have there, but also food. There's no place to grow anything, which means your only local options are freaking fish.
I mean, surely they get some sort of distributing there, no?
Fish Pokemon, whatever they eat. And if something goes wrong and a food supply ship can't get to the city, well then, just what do? Keep just eating fish? But my biggest concern of all is storms. If these buildings are built on rafts that move, and there are some large storm swells that start happening, how do you think the rafts will fare?
They're not gonna fare. I'm telling you right now, as God of the Seas, they're not gonna survive.
I don't think very good, and you'd just be in the middle of the ocean. If your house capsizes, what do you do? And as the undesirable cherry on top, there's no—
maybe shit yourself a little bit.
No Pokemart. Come on, guys. Where am I?
Wouldn't you just live under the town? Yes, but we're talking theoretically if I did live in the town. You're just fucked.
Supposed to buy my repels that I will absolutely need for any single step off the edge of the rafts. I'll be swarmed by Wingles and Tentacles without my repels, but I can't buy repels in the ocean town. The next Hoenn city I want to cover is Evergrande City. I said I would not be taking the number of buildings literally for almost every city in this video.
I'll be like, this place is chill, but yeah, I don't think there's any buildings at all.
This one is the exception. Evergrande's lack of buildings is so egregious that to this day, fans question why it's even called a city. It is literally a Pokemon Center, an enormous dangerous cave, and then the Pokemon League, a building primarily used for housing the Elite Four battles. How is this a city? Where would I live? Even if the big Pokemon League building had some apartments that aren't really accessible in the games, what would I do in my free time? Victory Road Spelunk? Also, the only way to get to the city aside from the air is up a waterfall, which is pretty isolated and inconvenient and causes me to have food supply concerns. Let's just say Evergrande City, just call it Nevergrande Island. The last Hoenn city I want—
Get it? Because you never want to be there. Anyway.
To mention is Sootopolis City. It's not as undesirable as the other ones I've covered, but I still think I would—
the vibes are just off in this city. They're just not The vibes are just not it.
Prefer to live somewhere else. While the night sky is beautiful and I'd get in great shape from constant cliff climbing, its isolation is not ideal. As I discussed in my 7 Wonders of the Pokemon World video, the only ways in and out of it are through the air or under the water. It being within the caldera prevents ships from getting to it, which means traveling out would not be as easy as it would be if I lived on Moss Deep Island, for example. Like I said, it's not as bad as the other ones I discussed in Hoenn, but I still would rather not. Now on to the Sinnoh region, where the main city I would really not want to live is Snow Point City.
Understandable.
Why? Well, it's too darn cold. Hell no. I am from Texas. It snowed here, and the whole state broke.
I remember that. Remember when Texas just iced over and nobody over there knew how to handle it? I do love the cold, but I think I like it in moderation.
Not accustomed to snow and harsh cold. I didn't even know snow tires were a thing until a few months ago.
Oh, yeah.
While I could move to a northern area where it snows, it would be quite the adjustment, and it would not be a happy adjustment. Because as I mentioned, I like
my dad, who was born, raised in the Philippines, he lived in Alaska for a few years because he found a job up there. And he would call me and be like, Sai, you know, I really like the cold, but like, this is way too much. Way too much. And now he lives in Canada where it really isn't that different. But I think there's more seasons in like his area of Canada than it was in Alaska.
My sunlight. Therefore, living in a town where it is literally always snowing sounds awful. It'd be like living in Antarctica. Well, maybe the temperatures wouldn't be as severe, but still. Where does the snow go when it melts? Does it melt at all? There's
Probably
no
not.
roads, for crying out loud. Well, maybe there are roads, but we can't see them because they're covered in snow. Also, Snow Point City is pretty isolated. It does have the shipyard, so that makes it better, but still just, no. The rest of Sinnoh's town seem...
I mean, some people do like living in there, but if you don't, I get it.
pretty pleasant to live in. So let's move on to Unova, starting with Lacanosa Town. Lacanosa Town is a post-game town in Black and White, but it's accessed during the main playthrough in Black 2 and White 2. The town seems pleasant enough and doesn't appear to have any immediate threats to my safety. But if you do just a bit of digging, you'll see that this place really would not be a pleasant place to live.
What's wrong with it?
That's because of the Lacanosa legend. A long time ago.
Is it haunted?
It is said that a large meteor came from the sky containing a terrifying monster. It was said that at night, the monster would appear
big issue with Lacanosa.
in the town along with the cold winds
I think he's a
and
pretty
take away
nice
humans
guy.
and
Kieran's
Pokemon
a good guy.
to eat them. Eventually, the residents of the town
Surely this little cute guy wouldn't hurt everybody, right? Surely this guy wouldn't go berserk and try to eat everyone.
surrounded Lacanosa Town in a wall to keep the monster out, and a rule was then set on the town that forbade anyone from leaving at night and encouraged people to stay in their homes. Even though Lacanosa residents claim to no longer believe this old story, they still stay inside of their houses at night, and the walls remain standing to this day. So, Kyurem from the Giant Chasm ate people, and now it doesn't.
Oh, this little guy wouldn't eat anybody. Look how cute he is. Guys, chat, do you think... Oh, oop. This guy isn't dangerous. Look at him. He's just a cute little innocent dude. He wouldn't hurt a soul. He wouldn't even hurt a fly. I think this is copium, okay? I think he was opium. He was just hungry. Nobody fed him properly. It's not his fault. Just give him some chicken nuggets and he's fine. Okay? He ate Reshiram and Zekrom. It's because he didn't have a choice, okay? What would you do if you were by yourself, all right, and there was no one there but another person? No life, no food. Would you eat the person? You probably would. You probably would. I'm not saying you should, but you probably would if you were in survival mode. So I can't blame Kyurem here. He's just a guy. I think as long as you keep him happy, get him, a happy meal every now and then, feed him some chicken nuggets, he'll be okay.
Doesn't appear to do that anymore, either because it decided it wasn't interested or the efforts of the Lacanosa town residents were effective. How this impacts me is that I might be in danger of being eaten by a frozen dragon monster, but even if I'm not, I will be forced to stay inside at night every night.
Hear me out. You befriend him.
I don't want to do that. I enjoy going out in the evenings with friends or family, and I wouldn't be able to do that in Lacanosa town. But on a more serious note, if I did go outside and something bad happened, no one would be around to help me, even if I screamed for help.
That's why you befriend Kiram, because if something bad happens, Kiram will help you.
They probably would ignore me.
Stop! Stop Kiram hate.
Because they'd be afraid of getting eaten. Lacanosa's motto is methodical and orderly for safety. Now, I get it. They had to do what they had to do, but I would rather just live in another Unova town where there's not the constant threat of being eaten and no nightly stay-at-home.
You know how I see it? The town just has a pet. The town just has a pet. Everybody just helps take care of the little guy, keep him happy. I have him on Mondays. Neighbor Timmy has him on Tuesdays. Neighbor John has him on Wednesdays. We all just, take turns taking care of him. It's like the class pet, This is like the equivalent of having a class pet. How, 1 week you had the hamster, and then the next week, someone else had it. Same exact thing. The class pet is Kiram.
I think we can all agree that we're pretty darn tired of stay-at-home orders. Let's move on to the Kalos region, where there are a few towns I would rather not live in. The first...
I just wouldn't live in Kalos in the first place!
is Snowbell City. I won't spend much time on this one because I dislike it for the same reasons as Snowpoint City. It's always snowy. Now, to be fair, Snowbell has easier access to not snowy areas than Snowpoint does, like literally the immediately adjacent routes. Not sure how those physics work. So while I would pick it over Snowpoint, I still would rather not live in Snowbell. Next is Geosenge Town, and the main reason I would not want to live there is the same reason.
This is where everything exploded.
As Cinnabar Island. It gets destroyed. Prior to the plot events of X and Y, Geosenge seems like a pleasant place to live. It's a bit close to those creepy petrified Pokemon, but that's not a deal breaker for me. But then the ultimate weapon bursts out of the ground, literally toppling the buildings over.
Everybody just dies.
And when it ends up destroying itself, it leaves a gaping hole in the middle of the town. And they just never fix it? I've had my Pokemon X save file since the game came out in 2013. The hole in Geosenge Town is still there, and the houses are still sideways.
Is there home insurance in Pokemon? There has to be.
What? How are there not story events that trigger a repair? Are they just deciding, oh, the town is lost and leaving it like that? What? What is the local government doing in this town? I don't understand. And when I have the options of pretty much the rest of Kalos, like a beach town like Sillage or a thriving metropolis like Lumios, I'm not gonna live on a plot of land with sideways houses and a hole in the middle of it. Next, we can move on to the Alola region, where it's pretty tough to find an undesirable city or town, since basically all of them are lovely beach towns. However, there is one in particular that is pretty darn bad. Po Town. Po Town seems to have been a lovely...
This place is just taken over by a goofy-ass team. I'm okay.
Coastal town before Team Skull took it over, built walls around it, and let it fall into decrepit decay. There's graffiti everywhere, randomly parked cars. Oh, and yeah, the whole place is overrun by criminals. I know that a lot of fans think Team Skull is not as hardcore or as
They're really funny. Team Skull haters just don't have a good sense of humor.
Impressive as previous generation teams because they don't really seem to try to take over the world. However, I would argue that they're pretty freaking hardcore because they took over a whole town permanently. All the other places with all the other teams, if they take over a place, you oust them and they leave. But even after Team Skull gets defeated and disbands, Po Town is still Po Town. The people don't get their houses back.
There's nobody.
That's crazy. I don't think I need to go too much more in depth as to why living in a city overrun by criminals
Team
and that's
Skull are my goats. I do love Team Skull. Guzma is such a funny guy.
just completely broken would not be very desirable. Heck, the residents of the Alola region agree with me, and none of them live there aside from the Team Skull members, which is not the case for the other.
I will say, if I were to be on an evil team in Pokemon, I think I would want to be in Team Skull. I feel like it would be a fun time.
Towns I've discussed so far. Also, it's always raining, and I like my sunlight. Also, before I move on from Alola, is Tapu Village a city or town? It's called a village, but it's really the site of a former village, with the only functioning building being a Pokemon Center. And they don't call it a town or city like all the other towns in Alola. So,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't think it counts as a city or town. I think it's more of a historical site with a Pokemon Center there that I would not live in. There's like nothing there. Then we reach the Galar region, and most of the cities and towns there seem like pretty nice places. However, there are a couple I would prefer not to live in. The first is Spikemouth. The whole thing is indoors, which I do not appreciate.
Is it like the same reason with Team Yell? They took
Remember, I like my sunlight, but it's also dirty, unkempt, and overrun by Team Yell. Team Yell is not anywhere near as frightening or villainous as other villains.
They're just fan guys and fangirls, all right, over Marnie and Pierre.
Teams, since they're not really a villainous team.
They're just fans.
Being obnoxious. But even so, while I wouldn't be afraid for my safety living near them, I would be afraid for my ears. They're so darn loud. Also, if Piers is constantly blaring his weird, no singing concerts, I'd get sick of that real fast. Living in Spikemouth seems like it would be like living in Po Town, but
it's basically the east side of London. I don't know what the east side of London looks like, so.
less bad. At least their town
What is like the equivalent of this in the US?
seems to be legally occupied. I also quickly wanted to cover Ball and Leia. I have mixed
Oh, I would like to live here just because I like the aesthetic.
feelings about it. It is beautiful, but I'm unsure about the only access point being through a dark forest. And while it does have light from the mushrooms, it doesn't seem to get much sunlight, and I like my sunlight.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm a night owl. So.
I think it would
This is where Connor Quest would live in. The equivalent is Compton. I've only ever been to Compton one time, chat. I've been to Compton one time, and it was a little scary, but I went because, like, a friend was like, oh, Sai, there's a really good sushi place here. And it was, like, a sushi place in, like, a car wash parking lot. And I was like, I don't know, man, this is kind of scary. It was banger sushi, by the way. You know, I eat a lot of sushi, and that's I still think about that place. And it was cheap, too. I got, like, a lobster roll for, like, $12, and it was huge. I don't know, Compton? What, are we equivalating, what is it, Spikemouth with Compton? I don't know.
Probably be fine, but it's not at the top of my list. And then finally is Freezington. Freezington is the town in the Crown Tundra.
I think this is worse than Snowbell and Snowpoint.
Like Snowpoint and Snowbell, it's always snowing, which is a big no-no for me. Also, they can't seem to grow crops even after you revive Calyrex, so that shows how big of a help he was. And the train station is oddly quite a hike away. Plus, almost everyone there is old. Don't get me wrong, old people are lovely, it's just that I wouldn't really fit in.
Restaurants do be great. Some of the best food I've ever had in my life just came from, like, hole-in-the-wall restaurant.
With them, or have much in common with them. And that wraps up
You know how I know the food's good? When you go outside, you know, like outside, you know how they have like the rating? It's like A, B, or whatever. If it's like a B, that's how you know the food's good.
List of main series towns and cities where I would rather not live in. Thank you so much for watching, and an extra special thanks to my patrons over on Patreon, who are helping support my channel independent of fluctuating YouTube ad rates.
Hell yeah.
If you want to help support me in the same way, the link is in the description below. Also, if you want to check out some more of my fun Pokemon content, I recommend these videos here. All right, that's all I have for now. So until next time, big fans. Gotta catch them all.
Yeah, no, that last city is definitely worse than Snowpoint and Snowbell. Because you're right, at least they have something. But that place is just pure nothing. They're trying to grow crops and it's just dying. Kind of based on Scotland. So what I'm hearing is Mikey just wouldn't want to be Scottish. You know, I'd only ever want to go to Scotland because I want to try Rebecca's Chinese food. What was I gonna say? Anyways. Where's the... Let's see, what if I'm not a trainer? What if I'm an accountant? Discovered that deep down, Mikey is a grass type. Trying to imagine Mikey with a Scottish accent is something. I agree. We're back with another Wolfie video. Because like I said before, and I will continue saying, I really love his videos. His videos are super fun. What is the second best starter Pokemon? What an interesting video. Because we're not looking at like the best or the worst. We're looking at now like second place. Basically mid starter Pokemon. So we're going to watch what is the second best starter Pokemon from Wolfie VGC.
Second best starter Pokemon. Oh, you're wondering why we don't want to know about the best starter Pokemon? Don't
I'm good. No.
worry about that. Nobody cares about that. What a weird question. What the people really want to know is who's the second best?
What? So basically this video is who is the best starter Pokemon that is not Incineroar.
Now, to be clear, this video is about competitive Pokemon. So if your favorite starter Pokemon isn't on here, that doesn't mean I hate it. It just means that the only reason I'd ever use it is if I was trying to farm YouTube content. There are 6 starter Pokemon that have been good to varying degrees in competitive Pokemon. So obviously, we're going to talk about 5 of them. All starter Pokemon have some things in common. Most notably, their
Rillaboom is used enough, right? Rillaboom is used enough.
Abilities. All fire type starters get the ability Blaze, the water types get Torrent, and the grass types get Overgrow. Despite being called different things, these abilities are effectively all the same. They power up the Pokemon's fire, water, or grass type moves when the Pokemon drops to low health. These abilities, to put it nicely, suck. While they do come up every once in a while, for the most part, if your Pokemon is low enough HP that the ability is actually active, it's also low enough HP that you'll be taking a trip to the Pokemon Center expeditiously. The good news is that every starter Pokemon gets access to a second ability, and these hidden abilities determine a lot of how good each starter Pokemon can be in competitive play. For example, let's start with Primarina. Do people like Primarina? I feel like I generally have a pretty good idea of like how popular different starter Pokemon are, but for Primarina, I actually have no idea. Primarina is a Pokemon that was introduced in Generation 7, and it's the only starter Pokemon from Alola we're going to be talking about today. Primarina is a water and
his hate for Incineroar is honestly kind of valid.
Fairy type Pokemon, which is really good. Even though water and fairy don't have a ton of inherent synergy beyond water canceling out fairy's weakness to steel, it turns out when you stick 2 of the best types in the game together, you get something really good. Primarina only has 3 weaknesses, a rarity among Pokemon with 2 types. And even better, it resists 6 types and is immune to a 7th. Compare this to my favorite Pokemon, Executor, and its 7 weaknesses, including a double weakness to bug, and you'll soon see that not all silly Pokemon are created equal. Primarina is one of the only Pokemon in the game that resists all of the moves from both Urshifu, a Pokemon distortion world bent on traumatizing every competitive player. And unlike
we literally just watched the video of that earlier.
Decidueye, who made an appearance on my worst starter Pokemon video, Primarina's ability actually does something useful. It's called Liquid Voice, and it turns all of Primarina's sound-based moves into water-type moves, regardless of their original type. If you're not sure what a sound-based move is...
So like what, Disarming Voice is now water type?
Sorry, they didn't just add in another type that you've never heard of. Well, I mean, unless you haven't heard of the Stellar type by now. Some moves make sound, and for the most part, that doesn't change anything. It comes up sometimes because there is an ability called Soundproof, which prevents all damage from sound-based moves, and sound...
He just puts on earplugs. Yeah, hyper
moves
voice.
Ignore Substitute, plus a couple other niche interactions. But for the most part, whether a move is sound-based or not is kind of like a tree falling in a forest when nobody's around. It doesn't really matter all that much. But it does matter to Primarina, because every sound-based move...
an opera singer, right?
Comes water type when the operatic ocean dweller
Oh, yeah. It's like water. It's like literally just water pixelate, but for very specific moves.
is the one using it. And this is a pretty big deal because of a normal type move that Primarina learns called Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice is somewhat unremarkable. It's a decently strong normal type move that hits both targets, but it's also a sound-based move, and that means Primarina gets to use it as a water type attack. Water type moves that hit multiple targets normally come with some kind of drawback. The most common ones are
there
Surf,
has
which
to be,
also
right?
damages your partner, and Muddy Water, which can miss. Hyper Voice does neither. And actually, in Scarlet and Violet, Primarina doesn't learn that many better water type moves, period. There's Hydro Pump, which always misses when you need it to hit, and Hydro Cannon, which hits
Knowing my luck, it will always miss. It won't matter.
it's more often and is stronger.
It could be a 99% accurate move, but with my luck, it would just miss all the time.
Requires a recharge turn after a connection. Primarina used to learn Scald, which is a great move, but it no longer can use that as of Scarlet and Violet. Primarina has strong moves that aren't water type as well, such as Moonblast, which is exceptionally powerful, never misses, and can even lower the special attack of anything it hits. Primarina does have some weaknesses, most notably its stats. That's a little misleading because it actually does have good stats. It's got respectable bulk and it's pretty strong, but it's not exceptional on either axis, and it's also pretty slow. And that's part of the reason why Primarina was at its best during the Dynamax era of Sword and Shield.
Awesome!
Dynamax allowed a Pokemon to double its health and power up all of its moves.
Big tanky water singer.
And while all Pokemon benefited to some extent from going big mode, some certainly appreciated it more than others. Primarina was one such case. It was just barely not bulky enough and not strong enough in its normal form, but with Dynamax in play, it suddenly became terrifying. In Trick Room, slow Pokemon move before fast ones, and with Dynamax and a Life Orb, Primarina could blow through teams before they could react. It also helped that using the water type move, Max Geyser, changed the weather to rain, powering up future water type moves by a whopping 50%. This is actually one of the few times that one of the starter exclusive moves was used in competitive play. See, max moves were stronger versions of regular moves, but how much stronger depended on how strong the base move was. A Pokemon using
I wasn't paying attention very much to like the Dynamax era of competitive, but I can imagine it was a horrifying time.
Max Flare based off of Ember is going to be a lot weaker than Max Flare based off of Overheat. Every starter Pokemon can learn a move that's basically a starter type version of Hyper Beam. In Primarina's case, that move is Hydro Cannon. I mentioned it earlier and how it takes a recharge turn, but when Hydro Cannon turns into Max Geyser, it keeps its high base power but loses the drawback. It's worth noting that while Primarina was very strong, it only remained relevant for a short period of time. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, when it placed second at the first Players Cup, the online tournament that replaced the official circuit when events stopped. It is a good Pokemon, but compared to the insane power level of some more memorable Pokemon, it does struggle.
Who's Incineroar? I have no idea who that is. Who is that?
To keep up. And you might struggle to keep up with this channel if you don't subscribe. I post a video every single Saturday, and if you want to be kept up to date, subscribing is a great way to tell YouTube to recommend them so you never miss an upload. Okay, so Primarina isn't the second best starter Pokemon, but maybe that makes sense because it also isn't that iconic. What about a more memorable starter Pokemon like, I don't know, Blaziken? Blaziken is a fire and fighting type Pokemon that tends to perform better in single battles, but it has still had some success in the official
I do like Chicken Man. Chicken Jockey. Sorry.
competitive
My like vocal stem just had to go out there.
format. Unlike Primarina, who tends to perform well as a balanced Pokemon, capable of both dealing damage and sponging hits, Blaziken is here for one thing and one thing only.
What is it?
Damage. This actually isn't entirely because of Blaziken's typing. While Fire and Fighting is definitely a type combination geared towards offense, Blaziken only has one more weakness than Primarina and the same number of resistances, so it does lack an immunity. And this is nice because even though picking Blaziken means you're comfortable with it going down quickly, the decent defensive spread means if it's paired up against the right Pokemon, it can be like the last guest at a party and just refuse to go home. But the real strength of this typing is its offenses. There is no single type in the game that can resist.
Oh my goodness. I haven't personally had to deal with it, but I've had friends where like I'll go over to their home and like hang out with everyone else, and then I will leave. And then they'll come to me the next day. They're like, so I was up till like 4 a.m. last night because this motherfucker would not leave. I would tell them that, oh man, I have something to do in the morning. And they'd be like, oh, okay. Oh, but by the way, and like, I can't stand that.
Fire and fighting, making it
I wanna go to fucking sleep!
very difficult to stop Blaziken from blowing something up. Of course, the typing is only part of the equation. The arguably bigger factor in Blaziken's offensive nature are the stats and the ability. While it has totally fine natural bulk, it definitely isn't great. Its attack and special attack
really
are clearly
good.
intended
Yeah,
to be the focal
offensive.
point. But that's not addressing the elephant in the room, Blaziken's speed stat. For an offensive
Kinda,
Pokemon, it's just way too slow. And it's also just in this awkward middle ground where it's too slow to keep up with the really fast Pokemon, but too fast to be effective in Trick Room. But that's not factoring in Blaziken's ability, Speed Boost. Speed Boost is one of the craziest abilities in the game, giving the Pokemon it gives it a speed boost every single turn. I guess that's not shocking. This is one of very, very few abilities that can boost a Pokemon stats without some condition being met. And
That's crazy. What the heck?
for good reason. Stat boosts are a huge deal in competitive Pokemon, and so for the most part, getting one requires using a move or giving up your item. That might make it a bit easier to see how being able to raise speed, arguably the most important stat, at the end of every single turn with no drawback is completely absurd. So
That
Blaziken
is
had
absurd.
a little
What do
use
you
over the
mean?
years, normally with either a
Babe, thank you
Focus
for the
Sash to help keep it
follow.
alive
Welcome in.
or a Life Orb to boost its damage. It was able to make use of both its offensive stats by using moves like Overheat and Superpower, with each move lowering one of Blaziken's offensive stats after connecting, which was less costly because then Blaziken could just switch to the other one. But if this were the whole story, Blaziken wouldn't have made this list. Fortunately for the Flaming Chicken, there's more to this tale,
like
specifically Mega Blaziken. Mega Blaziken is pretty much just a
Great.
strict upgrade, assuming you don't mind sacrificing your item and your Mega Evolution. Every single one of its stats is better than Blaziken's, and its attack gets a huge boost. It's also one of the few Mega Evolutions that can KO Mega Kangaskhan, the most used Mega, which mattered because Mega Blaziken could also outspeed Mother after a speed boost. Oh yeah, lots
Leave
of
the
Pokemon had their
mother and her
abilities
child
changed when Mega
alone.
evolving, but Blaziken was one of the few that got to keep its original ability. And good thing too, because honestly, almost any other ability aside from like Wonder Guard would probably have been worse. With the extra bulk from Mega Evolution, Mega Blaziken felt a lot tankier, and while it could still go down quickly, there were also battles where it stuck around turn after turn, continuously threatening to deal huge damage before the opponent could move. Mega Blaziken won 2 regional level events, including the Nashville Open, a tournament that took place at the 2018 World Championships and was chock full of Worlds competitors. It's a Pokemon that was never mainstream, but was extremely threatening in the right hands. Both Blaziken and Primarina were starter Pokemon that, while strong, were also never especially mainstream. That's not something you can say for all the remaining starter Pokemon on this list, who were all considered top competitive threats, at least at one point. So let's kick off the big dogs by talking about a big frog, Venusaur. Venusaur
My baby, I love that goddamn Pokemon.
is a grass and poison type Pokemon that just sucks to play against. As I'm recording this, I am currently preparing for the World Championships, and like if there's one Pokemon I don't want to play against, it's probably Venusaur. Just like Blaziken and Primarina, its ability holds the key to its success, Chlorophyll. This ability doubles Venusaur's speed stat if the strong sunlight weather condition is active, effectively allowing it to
Thumbs up.
outspeed every other Pokemon in the game. But Venusaur's special attack stat isn't that high, so why is it moving before other Pokemon such a big deal? That has to do with a move that Venusaur learns that should be familiar to anyone who's ever caught a Butterfree, Sleep Powder. Sleep Powder puts whatever it hits to sleep, but it only hits 75% of the time, meaning using it is a huge gamble. That being said, if it does connect, the target can be unable to move for as many as 3 turns, which is a huge setback. It's not easy to get around Venusaur either. It's decently bulky, and even if you have a strong, super effective attack to hit it with, you need to get around both Sleep Powder and the Focus Sash item it often carries, requiring you to hit it twice to knock it out. Venusaur is really great synergy with
Big tanky forward.
Pokemon that set the sunlight up, because not only does it hit the water, ground, and rock type Pokemon for super effective damage that give fire type Pokemon trouble, and it doubles its speed in the strong sunlight, but the fire type Sunsetters also hit grass type Pokemon for super effective damage. And grass is the only type in the game that is immune to Sleep Powder. Even if the fire type can't help for whatever reason, Venusaur's secondary poison typing gives it an advantage
Super,
against
thank you
other
for the
grass
follow.
types. Venusaur's base form has had a ton of success over the years. years, and was especially
So
dominant
good.
back in the final year of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Pairing Venusaur with Pokemon like Primal Groudon, as it turns out, is really scary, since buying a single turn for the land monster to attack for free could often result in so much damage that the opponent could never recover. But those of you who are paying close attention and not just using this video as background noise to help you fall asleep, you are so valid, by the way, sweet dreams, might have noticed
That's me. I fall asleep to videos.
that I said Venusaur's base form. And that's because
Mega
Venusaur has
Evolution!
2 other forms, both of which were more impactful than its base form. Mega Venusaur was the more tame of the two. While it does give up chlorophyll, it becomes much tankier and gains the
Try
ability
hitting
thick
me. Try hitting me. Try hitting me.
fat, turning off its
fat.
weaknesses to fire and ice. This Mega Evolution completely warps the way that Venusaur plays, turning it into this super tank rather than the normal fast and frail disruption role it likes to fill. Now, instead of needing Venusaur to hit a sleep powder or risk being wiped off the map, Venusaur could instead focus on sticking around and dealing damage over time, and could even lean into a healing build if it wanted. I won a regional with Giga Drain,
sounds
Leech
really
Seed Mega
funny.
Venusaur that could whittle down my opponent's health over time, and other players had success using the move Synthesis to recover 50% of Venusaur's health at a time. But what really makes Mega Venusaur so good, in my opinion, is the fact that you're not forced to Mega Evolve it. If you wanted to use Venusaur as a chlorophyll disruptor Pokemon, you could bring Mega Venusaur but just not Mega Evolve it. In 2015, the German national championships were won by a player with both Mega Charizard Y, who could set the sun up, and Mega Venusaur. If you wanted to use Mega
Oh, he had to choose between the two? That's so interesting.
Charizard and base Venusaur, you could do that. But you could also leave Charizard behind and lean into Mega Venusaur as a tank in certain matchups. But neither regular Venusaur or Mega Venusaur were anywhere near as scary as Gigantamax Venusaur. This Pokemon was a menace, and despite being around for only about 2 years, it quickly took over competitive play. Gigantamax Venusaur plays very similarly to regular Venusaur, which I guess makes sense because it's literally just a bigger version of it. And unlike Mega Venusaur, which is a permanent transformation, Gigantamax ends after only 3 turns. But don't let that fool you, those 3 turns are extremely impactful. What made
Those
Gigantamax
3 turns are a fucking nightmare.
Venusaur so scary was its access as one of only 4 Pokemon to the scariest Gigantamax move in the game. This move had a different name depending on which Pokemon used it. For Venusaur, it was called G-Max Vine Lash. This move was completely absurd. If you hit a single Pokemon with it a single time, even through Protect, both your opponent's Pokemon would lose a 1/6 of their HP over the next
That's a
4
lot.
turns unless they were a grass type. If you were to take max damage from this effect, you would lose 1/3 of your team's total health as a passive effect of using a move 1 time. It was also virtually impossible to prevent this effect from going up, since Gigantamax Venusaur keeps the chlorophyll ability and doubles its HP, meaning you have basically no
He's
chance
just extra tanky
of
now.
knocking it out before it moves. Gigantamax Venusaur could also use the max version of Earth Power, Max Quake, to raise its team's special defense, making it even
Awesome.
harder to get rid of.
Let's just make everyone else tanky.
Gigantamax Venusaur became a top
I'm so proud of you, Venusaur. I love you.
threat the instant it entered the game. It won the North American International Championships, multiple regional championships, and one of the Players' Cups. And it would have won a second one if I hadn't stopped it. The fact that it didn't even need to Gigantamax right away and could instead use Sleep Powder to disrupt made it even harder to handle. Gigantamax Venusaur was so oppressive that it makes other forms of Venusaur look tame, which is saying something. But Venusaur isn't the only starter Pokemon on this list.
All right. So if I learned anything from today, do not ever bring back Dynamax into Pokemon Champions. Thank you.
With multiple forms. What? You thought I was gonna make a video about starter Pokemon and not talk about Game Freak's Golden Goose Charizard? Charizard is similar to
If I hadn't stopped, it contains so much aura. True. Hi, Midnight Castle.
Venusaur in that it has 3 forms that we're going to talk about today. But it differs in that one of those forms is not its base form. Base Charizard is just bad. I did bring it to a regional one time, so I guess I'm qualified to say that. Its typing isn't awful, but it has a lot of weaknesses and will disintegrate if it touches a rock. And its stats leave much to be desired. It's not tanky, it's not that fast, and it isn't strong enough to justify everything else. Luckily for the lizard, Game Freak wasn't content to just let Charizard wallow in mediocrity. So starting with Pokemon X and Y, they gave it
Of course not. They needed to make the probably most popular Pokemon that isn't. I actually think Charizard is more popular than Pikachu. They had to make it good.
some help.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, I've seen VGC teams where it's like like Mega Charizard Y with the sunlight. Disgusting.
Let's start by talking about Mega Charizard X. This Pokemon was never very popular, but it was very strong. It's a fire and dragon type Pokemon that gains the ability Tough Claws, powering up many of its physical attacks. Fire and dragon is good typing, as fire is strong against the fairy and steel type Pokemon that dragon struggles with, and dragon resists the water moves that threaten fire types. Mega Charizard X became a lot tankier to supplement its better defensive typing, and also gained a ton of attack, letting it actually work as a physical attacker. I brought it to the World Championships twice, and I won a regional with it back in 2018. The thing about Mega Charizard X is that although it was very strong, its most broken move was Flare Blitz, a move with recoil. And the more damage it dealt, the more damage Charizard took in exchange. Couple this with Charizard's speed stat, which, although good, wasn't faster than most other threatening Mega Evolutions, and it starts to become clear why Mega Charizard X never really took wing. Mega Charizard Y is a totally different story. Although it keeps the arguably worse fire and flying typing, it gets some useful tools to make up for it. The biggest one is its ability, Drought, which sets up the strong sunlight. Weather is a really big deal in competitive Pokemon, and having a powerful fire type that can set the sun for itself turns out is pretty strong. Charizard Y had an advantage over other weather setters by being a Mega Evolution. Normally, if a weather setting Pokemon is already on the field, another weather setter can just switch in and turn off the weather. Weather. For example, if Groudon is on the field, Kyogre can switch in and turn the sun to rain. But because switches happen before Mega Evolution, this doesn't work against Charizard Y. If Charizard's on the field and the opponent switches in, say, Politoed, the weather would turn to rain. And then Charizard would Mega Evolve and turn the weather to sun. In other words, it's
basically PEMDAS, but for Pokemon.
It's nearly impossible to turn the sun off if Charizard is on the field in its base form. Sun is a really dangerous weather condition because unlike sand or snow or hail, the sun weather condition powers up a type of move offensively. Specifically, and this is probably a shock, it powers up fire type moves. To try and balance the game, Game Freak made sure to build in weaknesses of the sun setters, whether via a low special attack stat like Groudon and Ninetales, or a low speed stat like Torkoal. The special attack stat matters a lot on Pokemon with the ability Drought, because sun boosted fire moves that can hit multiple targets like Heat Wave and Eruption can be super oppressive. And not only are there no spread physical fire type moves, but you can always lower the power of physical attackers with the Intimidate ability. Mega Charizard Y is the one exception to this rule. It's extremely strong and fast enough to be a threat. It can spread damage with Heat Wave or remove a key threat with Overheat or Fire Blast. And it gets the move Solar Beam, which hits the water and rock types that resist its fire type moves. Mega Charizard Y was a top Mega Evolution for most of the time it was in the game, sometimes being as good as one of the 3 best Mega Evolutions. It won multiple regional and national level events and finished second at the World Championships in 2014, ultimately losing to Pachirisu. But neither Mega Charizard was
goddamn squirrel
anywhere near as good as Gigantamax Charizard. See, Charizard was one of the other Pokemon that got access to that broken max move effect I mentioned earlier, in this case called G-Max Wildfire. But whereas Venusaur was threatening because it was too fast and bulky to stop it from getting the move off, Charizard was terrifying for another reason. This attack was one of the single strongest moves of all time. That might seem a little strange because Gigantamax Charizard just has all of Charizard's base stats minus the HP, which is just doubled. And I already mentioned how base Charizard is actually pretty bad. But here's the thing. Gigantamax Charizard would often use the move Blast Burn, the fire type Hyper Beam. So we're already starting with a move that's pretty strong. And just like Primarina, it doesn't have to worry about the downside of the recharge turn when it's in its Gigantamax form. And then we start adding in multipliers. This move gets 50% stronger because it's a fire type move and Charizard is a fire type Pokemon. It gets another 30% stronger because of the Life Orb item that Charizard would often hold.
Basically just it's a nuke.
Another 50% stronger for the strong sunlight, and another 50% because of Charizard's ability, Solar Power. Solar Power increases the special attack stat of the user by a whopping 50% if the strong sunlight is active. It causes the Pokemon to lose 10% of their health every single turn while the sun is up. It's a strong ability, but I would say it's overall pretty well balanced because of the HP loss. Except if the Pokemon is Dynamaxed, that HP loss is halved. And that's true of the Life Orb recoil as well. You see, these effects cause a Pokemon to lose 10% of their base health, not their Dynamax health. And whereas the damage adds up pretty quickly when you're taking 10% per effect, it feels a lot less meaningful when it's only 5% and you have twice as much health as normal. With all these multipliers in play, Gigantamax Charizard could KO even Pokemon that resist it. And that's not even factoring in the G-Max Wildfire effect, which again causes both opponents to lose a 6 of their HP every turn for the next 4 turns. And that's not all. Gigantamax Charizard is the only form of Charizard to actually make good use of its flying typing. The single best base max move in the game was Max Airstream. In order to prevent offensive Dynamax moves from taking over the game, Game Freak capped the base power of the moves that raised your offensive stats much lower than other max moves. That's why Max Knuckle and Max Ooze were so rarely seen. They just were weaker than other max moves. But Game Freak forgot that speed is an offensive stat as well, and arguably more important. And Max Airstream didn't have this limiter put on. So Max Airstream was not only as strong as other max moves, it also raised your team's speed every single time you connected with it. While Max Airstream wasn't being boosted by the strong sunlight, it did still benefit from Life Orb, Gigantamax, and solar power, meaning it could still easily wipe Pokemon off the field before you could blink. And dealing with Gigantamax Charizard and its partner, often Groudon, with a speed boost was nearly impossible. Gigantamax Charizard was the single best performing Dynamax Pokemon in Sword and Shield, period. It won the first event of the game's release and the very last, and placed second at the only world championships that happened during Sword and Shield. There's a very real case that you can make that it should belong in the #1 slot for the second best starter Pokemon. And if you think it belongs there, I don't blame you. But after giving it a lot of thought, I'm giving the title of #1 second best starter Pokemon instead to Rillaboom. And that might be a little controversial because I guess technically Rillaboom has less results than Charizard, but here's my thinking. Rillaboom was only introduced last generation with Sword and Shield, and it didn't even have access to its hidden ability for a time. Unlike Charizard, it doesn't have special treatment from Game Freak. Okay, technically it does have
He's just a guy who really likes playing the drums.
a Gigantamax form that ignores abilities and is a little bit stronger, but compare that to the G-Max form that Charizard gets and I think the favoritism is apparent. But despite having only one real form, Rillaboom has established itself as one of the strongest Pokemon of all time. Like every other Pokemon on this list, that partially has to do with its ability. Grassy Surge sets up the field effect Grassy Terrain, powering up grass moves, healing all Pokemon that touch the ground every single turn, and cutting the power of the move Earthquake in half. Grassy Terrain is a little lower impact than the other terrains, but part of what makes it so strong is that you can use it as a way to shut down your opponent's terrain and disrupt their strategy. The ability is good, but it isn't the whole story. Rillaboom stats are great. It's got good bulk and a solid attack stat. And while its speed is middling, that actually isn't that big of a problem on a supporting Pokemon like Rillaboom. Rillaboom gets the move Grassy Glide, a move that was so strong they had to nerf it in Scarlet and Violet. This move gets priority if Grassy Terrain is up, and it's stronger than other priority moves to begin with, and it gets a damage boost from Grassy Terrain. Rillaboom also gets one of the best supporting moves in the game, Fake Out, which stops the target from moving for a single turn and acts with heightened priority. Rillaboom's speed stat also works in its favor because it gets the move U-Turn, which does some damage and then lets the user switch out. Bulky Pokemon generally prefer to use this move after the opponent has already attacked for the turn because it allows them to bring in a frailer, more offensive Pokemon safely. So Rillaboom is an excellent user. Normally, a Pokemon that excels at supporting its team and sponging damage tends to have trouble doing damage back, but Rillaboom is the exception. It can use the move Wood Hammer, a move with a really high base power to deal huge damage even without that much investment in its attack, thanks to the same type attack bonus and the boost from Grassy Terrain plus the move's high base power. This move does recoil damage to Rillaboom, but the healing from Grassy Terrain helps to offset that. Rillaboom typically holds the Assault Vest item to help shore up its lower special defense stat, but that's not the only option it has for good items. Players have had success with Miracle Seed to boost grass moves, Choice Band for a huge damage boost, and Clear Amulet to stop Intimidate, to name a few. I won the Players Cup 2, a national level event with Assault Vest Rillaboom, and also won the Charlotte Regional Championships this year with the same set. Rillaboom has only been legal for 2 world championships, and its finishes are 1st and 2nd. It's won countless regional and international level events, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. In fact, as I record this in early August, Rillaboom is arguably the strongest it's ever been despite the fact that it now has to deal with powerful, restricted legendary Pokemon. Unlike Charizard and Venusaur, who perform best when the entire team is built around supporting and enabling them, Rillaboom is a lot more selfless. Rather than work as the star, it instead enables its teammates to shine, making it much more flexible with the teams it can work on. Despite the nerf to Grassy Glide and the introduction of multiple new ways to stop fake out, Rillaboom continues to perform and has reached a level of dominance that I think is deserving of the
I love the Woodhammer. It's so funny.
number 2 starter Pokemon.
Wow, who's that first one? I have no idea. That looks like Garfield.
And that's the last starter Pokemon I'm gonna talk about. Sure glad we talked about them all. Okay, let's end the video before it. Thanks for watching.
If you
like this video,
did anybody else get scared? I think I peed my pants a little bit.
You might like this other video I made trying to find the worst starter Pokemon of all time. It seemed like some of the Pokemon I was considering really surprised people, so just be warned if you're gonna watch it.
I believe we did watch it. Where's the lasagna? We hit a new record. Incineroar shows up for only 4 seconds in the video. For anyone wondering, it took 0 seconds for Incineroar to be in this video. Where's this video uploaded? 2024. Oh, it's in the thumbnail. Oh my god. Second best starter, Torcat. It's not Incineroar, guys. It's not Incineroar. Nope, couldn't be. Incineroar? Nah. That would be too basic. That would be too basic. Third best starters Litten. Oh my goodness. We have one last video today. I don't think we've watched this one. You know, I'm gonna double check this. I don't think so, but I can always just double check. Because I feel like we've seen a lot of Mikey videos already. That I forget which ones I've seen and which ones I haven't seen. But I don't think we've actually seen this one. If I'm being completely honest. It's obviously Infernape. 5 years ago? Yeah, it's a Baby Mikey video. We've been consuming a lot of Baby Mikey videos because we've seen all of the new ones. Bye, have a good day. Okay, we've seen the Mega Evolution's biggest problem. We haven't seen the legendary Pokemon problem. I don't know what he means by that. Was there a problem with the with legendary Pokemon at some point, and he's telling us how to fix it? Anyways, we're gonna be watching the legendary Pokemon problem and how to fix it by M&J TV.
Greetings, my fans! Michael here, and with the release of the Crown Tundra, legendary Pokemon are being shoved down our throats again. Back in
I see.
day, legendary Pokemon, in my opinion, felt more special because there were fewer of them. In the original Kanto games, there were just the birds and Mewtwo. In the Johto games, there were the beasts and then your game mascot. In the Hoenn games, there were some more, but overall there were still relatively few available. But then you have more recent games like—
where they just like give you legendary Pokemon after legendary Pokemon after this one and after that one. You know, at that point they stop becoming special. I think I understand.
Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and the Crown Tundra that make it so virtually every previous legendary Pokemon is available, which results in there being so many for you to find that you could make a freaking legendary zoo. Now, part of the reason we have so many legendary Pokemon now is because the game series has been around for almost 25 years. So there's simply just a lot that have built up over time. But I think another reason we have too many legendary Pokemon is that too many of these legendary Pokemon are considered legendary when they shouldn't be. In today's video, I'm going to fix that problem. I'm going to go through every single legendary Pokemon and determine once and for all, because I absolutely have that power, whether it should remain a legendary Pokemon. So don't forget to subscribe to—
Are we determining what is and what isn't
my
now?
channel, since less than half of my viewers are not subscribed, which is no. And let's dive in to the great legendary Purge.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, I probably shouldn't say that. That sounds a lot worse than it is. First is determining a criteria for what makes a Pokemon legendary. And yes, I have to be the one to come up with that. According to Bulbapedia, no explicit criteria defines what makes a Pokemon a legendary Pokemon. Instead, the only way to identify a Pokemon as belonging to this group is through statements from official media, such as the games or anime. There is a bit of information in the game code, but the game code honestly kind of convolutes things further because it denotes things as legendary and then sub-legendary. And sub-legendaries are allowed in the battle facilities and regular legendaries are not. But are the sub-legendaries still legendary? They kind of say it is, but kind of not. And so it's like, Plus, there's the whole deal with mythical Pokemon. The official media has been very inconsistent about whether these are a totally separate class of Pokemon or just a subset of legendary Pokemon. The whole thing's a mess. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to be sorting this nonsense out by creating 3 criteria that a Pokemon must meet in order to be classified as legendary. The first is that they have to be strong. This one's pretty straightforward.
Okay, but what are we considering strong?
Does
it have to be over a certain base stat, or like what are we considering?
Second criteria is that there needs to be some kind of lore.
I mean, I guess like Manaphy versus, I don't know, Groudon. Who's stronger in that one situation? You know, Groudon's gonna probably be stronger.
Or backstory about the Pokemon. The word legendary is defined as being described or based on legends. So there has to be some legends about the Pokemon. If you just find it without having heard about it first, then like, that's not based on legends. It's just a rare Pokemon. And the final criteria is that there can only be one in a particular region. Obviously, as the games have gone along, older generation legendary Pokemon have reappeared in other games, but that's just to make them accessible to players who are playing the new games but didn't play the old ones. What I'm saying is that a legendary Pokemon is unique. So in its home region, and excluding any event distributions, because those don't make any story sense. Those don't count,
yeah, those don't count.
There can only be one in the entire game, anywhere. If it's repeated even once, then it's not legendary in my book. One more thing, for the sake of this video, I'm not gonna be talking about mythical Pokemon. Like I said, it's kind of confusing as to whether they are a subset of legendary Pokemon or a category all their own. And besides, they're pretty much all gonna meet.
I've always kind of lumped in mythicals with legendaries.
The 3 criteria I mentioned anyway, so there's no point in me going over them one by one. Well, except Fion. Fion is just, why does it exist? It's so stupid.
What even is Fion? Is it like Manaphy, but not Manaphy? I never understood Fion's, or is it Fione? I have no idea. Doesn't matter. I never understood its role. I never understood.
Stupid and pointless. Oh, actually, one more thing. I'm not looking at the anime at all. The anime is a mess. It's just taking far too many creative liberties about multiple of this kind of Pokemon, and is it real or is it not? Like, there's 2 freaking Mewtwo's in the anime world. That's ridiculous. Also, they said Unknown was a legendary Pokemon in the anime, which it is definitely not. So the anime, we're just, no, put that aside. It's its own weird thing. We're just looking at the main series games. But now I think that covers all of the important criteria, classification type stuff. So now I can start going through each individual legendary Pokemon and determining whether it is still legendary based on my system. And the first ones I'm gonna cover are the Kanto legendary birds. And according to my system, they're just the Kanto birds now. Not legendary. Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres fail in 2 of my 3 criteria.
Is it because there's multiple of them?
The one they succeed is their strength. Base 580 stat total, perfectly acceptable. The first category they fail in is not having enough backstory or lore. They don't really have any. The biggest piece of lore about the legendary birds is their association with Lugia and the different islands with the orbs and stuff, all of which was the main focus of Pokemon the Movie 2000. Now, I could be wrong about this, but in the games, I couldn't find any mention of their association with Lugia, like at all. The extent of the backstory you get about them before encountering them is basically just mentions of them being noticed, like, oh, I saw a blue Pokemon flying near the Seafoam Islands. That's not lore or backstory. That's amateur bird watching. Their second failure is that there's more than one of them. In the Gen 1 and Gen 3 Kanto games, there's only one of each, but in Let's Go, they have a very small chance of appearing in the sky on most any route in the game after you've defeated the League, even after you've captured them at their usual locations. Now, you could argue that this is only in the Let's Go universe, but maybe they're showing up in Red, Blue, Yellow, Fire, Red, Leaf, Green 2. You just can't see them because you can't fly. The idea that there's more than one of them is supported by the existence of their Galarian forms. It's possible that the Galarian
I like the Galarian forms. I think they're pretty cool.
Birds are just very similar to the original birds and got the same name due to the resemblance, but it's also possible they evolved from a common ancestor. If evolutionary divergence happened, that means there had to be quite a few of them at some point or another. So to me, the legendary birds are not-
wait, I see what you mean. Okay. If there had to be a regional variant of it, there had to have been multiple of them in existence at one point in time. Got it. Okay. Yeah, no, they're just birds. They're literally just birds.
Legendary. They're just rare and special. Next up is Mewtwo, and Mewtwo gets to stay legendary. It's obviously plenty strong enough, and you could debate me on the lore part, but I think it's sufficient. The fact that there's an entire building, the Pokemon Mansion, giving you backstory about it in little bits and pieces counts as legend lore to me. This backstory is more recent, but it definitely does create legends about what the heck happened at the Pokemon Mansion. And you have to piece it together and then go find it deep in this guarded cave. So you could debate me on that part, but I think it counts.
I think, yeah, the one thing that might be kind of iffy is that this Pokemon is technically man-made. It wasn't like a naturally born Pokemon, so... But it's very powerful, and it literally destroyed like a whole facility, so I think it's considered legendary.
And finally, there is only one Mewtwo in the entire Kanto games.
They only ever made one.
It gets all three categories in my eyes and stays legendary. Now on to the Johto region, starting with the legendary beasts, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune.
The dogs.
Now, they are plenty strong, and they have sufficient lore and backstory. The story of how the tower caught fire and they were trapped inside and then Ho-Oh resurrected them as these legendary beasts, like, that's a great story. It's a legend, and they are the subject of legends, so that works. But is there only one of each of them in the Johto games? Well, kind of. In the original Gen 2 games, there is only one of each, but the Battle Frontier in Heart Gold and Soul Silver changes things up. Castle Valet Derek uses an Entei in his gold print challenge in the battle.
He just casually has an Entei, no big deal.
Castle, and Hall Matron Argenta can use all three of the legendary beasts in the battle hall. Now, normally this would make me count out the legendary beasts, but I'm not going to, because the Battle Frontier in Heart Gold and Soul Silver is not real?
What? Wait, what do you mean it's not real?
Is that the right word? The Gen 4 Battle Frontier started...
It's not like canon? Is that kind of what we're saying here?
...in Diamond and Pearl with just the tower, led by Palmer, who is Barry's dad. So, very much a Sinnoh thing. Then...
I would kiss Barry's dad, by the way.
In Platinum, it was expanded to be the entire frontier, not just the tower. Then, in Heart Gold and Soul Silver... they took the Battle Frontier and pushed it somewhere else. The Heart Gold Soul Silver Battle Frontier is the same thing as the Platinum Battle Frontier. It's the same structures, same people, everything. And that doesn't make logical sense. How do you have identical everything in two different places?
Have you ever been inside of an In-N-Out? Most In-N-Out locations have the same exact layout. So that's why I'm not entirely sold on this one. You can make two locations or two facilities in two different locations look the exact same. In-N-Out, the In-N-Out restaurant is a prime example.
Me, this means the
In-N-Out as in the fast food place? Yes!
Battle Frontier in Heart Gold and Soul Silver is in the same category as other region legends showing up in other regions. It's there for player access, not as a logical part of the universe. This is basically a long-winded way of saying that in my eyes, the Gen 4 Battle Frontier is canonically built in Sinnoh, not in Johto. So therefore, any appearances of the legendary beasts in that Battle Frontier are in the Sinnoh region. So they have no bearing on the status of the legendary beasts in the Johto region. So because of that, the legendary beasts are strong, have a backstory, and don't appear anywhere else except the ones you find in the wild. So to me, they stay legendary. Next up is Ho-Oh and Lugia, and this is a quick one. They're still legendary. They're very strong, they have the backstory with the two towers and one of them burning down, and they're only found once each in their particular games. Now we can move on to the Hoenn legends, starting with the original Regi trio of Regice, Registeel, and Regirock. Now these three are plenty strong, and they absolutely have enough backstory with the different caves and the seafloor cavern and people sealing them away because they feared their power and all that, so that's good enough for me. But are they found just once? Absolutely not. In the Emerald Battle Frontier, Pyramid King Brandon uses all three of them in his first battle, and
that is fucking crazy.
And they're possible rental Pokemon in the Battle Factory. I excluded the legendary beasts appearing in the Heart Gold Soul Silver Battle Frontier because that Battle Frontier isn't really supposed to be there. It's the Sinnoh Battle Frontier that they just plopped somewhere else. But the Emerald Battle Frontier, that started in Hoenn. That is a canonical Hoenn location, and so therefore that means someone based in the Hoenn region also got some Regis alongside you, which means
that makes sense. Just, you're right, chat, mass-produced Golem.
Means there's more than one of them, and I can't classify them as legendary.
They're just made in China replicas.
Next up is Latios and Latias, and I am saying they are not legendary.
Whoa,
they're strong enough,
okay,
but they fail in the other two categories.
All right,
For
I'll hear
lore,
you
they
out.
have barely any. You have a TV broadcast saying, oh, a red or blue Pokemon was spotted, which is amateur bird watching. Southern Island, the canonical home
I see a blue bird outside.
/ base of these Pokemon has an inscription talking about memories and dreams, but that's more of a random poem than lore about the backstory of Latios and Latias.
That's fair,
we
that's
know
fair, that's
nothing
fair. I can
about how
accept
they
this
came to
reasoning.
be, and there are not really any stories about them impacting or doing anything with the people of the Hoenn region in ancient times. They're just rare brother and sister Pokemon, which is not lore. Plus, they're also seen elsewhere in the Battle Frontier. Salon Maiden Annabelle has Latios in her gold symbol battle, and Dome Ace Tucker uses Latias in his gold symbol battle. And they are available rental Pokemon in the Battle Factory. Clearly,
They're made in a factory at this point.
this species is just rare, but there's still multiple of them, so that's not legendary to me. Finally for Hoenn is the Weather Trio, and like with Ho-Oh and Lugia, pretty straightforward here, they're still legendary. Strong enough, lots of backstory, and they're the only ones. That does it for the Hoenn legends, so now on to the Sinnoh legends, starting with the Lake Trio, Mesprit, Azelf, and Uxie. They are strong enough, and they certainly have backstory, with Arceus, pronunciation intentional, if you know, you know, creating them and them representing all
I wonder why he's calling it Arceus.
of human consciousness.
Boeing
They
or
seem
air.
pretty legendary. But there's more than one. Palmatron Argenta can use them in the battle hall.
Why does this bitch have all of them?
all. And as I discussed
Sorry, I think calling her a bitch was a little bit, a little excessive there. I'm sorry.
earlier, this frontier's true home is Sinnoh. Therefore, someone based in Sinnoh was able to find more of these Lake Guardians, which means there's more than just the 3 that you find, and therefore, that's not legendary to me. Next up is the creation trio, Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. And
Those are
as you might
legendaries.
imagine, they are still legendary.
Oh, yeah.
They are plenty strong. There's the whole backstory with Arcus creating them and creating the universe basically at the same time.
I love
and
Jesus.
You can only find
Arceus.
one in each
Arcus.
particular game. Next, we have 3 Sinnoh legends that are not related to each other, but I'm covering them all in one go for reasons you will see shortly. Regigigas,
Nods.
Heatran, and Cresselia. All of them are definitely strong enough to count here. Regigigas has the lore part.
Cresselia, please be legendary. That's my favorite legendary Pokemon.
With being the creator of the other Regis and having the Snow Point Temple built for it. Cresselia and Heatran, though, don't have the same level of lore. Cresselia has kind of an association with Darkrai, so maybe that could work.
Yeah,
But
I
Heatran is
think
just
so.
an angry magma spider that lives in a volcano.
Listen. If you're nice to him, I'm sure he'll be fine.
There's not much backstory at all. But regardless of what you think about their lore, all 3 are disqualified from being legendary Pokemon because Palmer, the head of the Battle Tower, uses
I'd kiss
all
him.
3 of them. His 49th
Why do they all just... they all just are disgustingly strong.
battle team in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum is all 3 of these legends. And he had this team from the start, even before the whole frontier was added in Platinum. As icing on the
real
cake,
god of Pokemon's a little beaver. Facts.
Argenta can use the same 3
Why does she just keep having all of them?
in the battle
Maybe she is a bitch.
hall. God, how did she get a hold of all of these legends? My God, Argenta.
That's exactly
now on
what
to the
I
Universe
said.
region, starting with the Swords of Justice. These are
Whoa.
plenty strong enough, and they have
Batman
adequate lore
came out
about
there.
protecting small and weak Pokemon, even straight up fighting humans to do so. Also, you can only find 1 individual instance of each per save file, so they meet all 3 categories. They're still
Yeah.
legendary. Next are the Forces of Nature, aka the legendary Genies, aka 3 buff men. They are plenty strong, and they also have some lore. People at the Abundant Shrine reveal how Tornadus and Thundurus were out destroying stuff, then Landorus whipped them into shape. The ancient
Whoa.
people constructed the Abundant Shrine as a thank you to Landorus. Also, you can't find him anywhere else in your game. There is a downloadable tournament for the Pokemon World Tournament where players use them, but those teams are based on actual real-world VGC competitors, and definitely doesn't count, especially since you can't even download the tournament anymore. In short, the Forces of Nature are still legendary. Next is the Tau Trio, Reshiram, Zekrom, and Qrem.
I think
They
so.
are plenty strong, have the whole backstory about the original dragon splitting into 3 Pokemon, and you can only find 1 of each per save file. They are
Fair enough.
definitely still legendary. Now for the Kalos legends, the Aura Trio of Xerneas, Yveltal, and
Yveltal.
Zygarde. Now these 3 Pokemon are very strong, and
Zygarde? I
They
think the one I'm like a little bit iffy about is Zygarde.
have enough lore behind them to count in my eyes.
Really?
With Xerneas,
I don't know. Does Zygarde, because he's in little pieces? Because there's multiple of them?
creating
No, I'm not seeing a Team Sky video, and you're probably not gonna see me watch it for a while because it's an hour and a half.
life and turning into a tree, and Yveltal killing things and turning into an egg.
Zygarde's just a bunch of cells, so maybe I'm thinking like if you count the bunch of cells as like individuals, I guess when you put them together, it's one being. But are they like multiple beings when they're apart? I have no idea.
And then
I don't really care for Zygarde like that to know, so I'm not a huge Zygarde fan. It's just kind of like, whatever.
Zygarde maintaining that ecological balance and
kinda
being really
freaky.
mean when it's out of balance. So you've got those first 2 factors, and then you can't find them anywhere else in the Kalos region, so they're still legendary.
Aren't we all just
Now
a
we're
bunch
on
of cells? We are, but I don't know. Does your cells just like separate from you and just kind of like move around, like weird? Because if that does, maybe you should go to the doctor, but mine don't.
The Alola region, the region that inspired this video because, dear God, it is a mess.
Oh yeah, no. Gen 7 legendaries, quote unquote, disaster.
First up, we have Type Null and Silvally, which are, yes, officially designated.
That's a fun argument. IRL bio, the line between multicellular organisms and colonial organisms is famously iffy when it comes to stuff like the Portuguese Man-O-War. Isn't that... Wait, hold up. I could have sworn I've seen a video on that, like the Portuguese Man-O-War. That's like a sea organism, right? Or am I crazy? Yeah, it's like the little someone. I watched a video on TikTok where someone like stepped on one and they had to like go to the hospital. Yeah, the Portuguese Man-O-War. It's not considered a jellyfish. It's literally just 4 little guys. Sorry, I had to Google it. It looks like a water balloon. The Portuguese Man-O-War, or Physalia physalis, is a venomous marine animal, not a jellyfish, that is actually a colony of 4 specialized organisms, polyps working together. It's known for its gas-filled float that acts as a sail, allowing it to drift on the ocean currents, and long-stinging tentacles that can deliver painful sting to humans even when dead or washed ashore. Yeah. Listen, I'm the goddesses, but even stuff like this, it's like, I've seen videos on this, and it's really fucking scary. Do not touch. Oh my god. That's so scary.
As legendary Pokemon, which is ridiculous. First off, let's look at their strength.
Type Null doesn't count, sorry.
Silvally certainly is, but Type Null is pushing it on the lower end.
Why'd you make that? Listen, there's things that just spawn. You know, have you played Minecraft before? So you know how, like, sometimes things just spawn? That's how the world works sometimes, you know? Some things just spawn and I don't know what it is.
Next up is...
it just lives in my own waters.
The lore criteria. And to me, the backstory just doesn't fit the status of legendary.
I'm sorry, Type Null is not
Ether
a
Foundation
legendary.
wanted to make a Pokemon that could fight off and kill Ultra Beasts. So they made 3 Type Fulls. But they didn't work well. So they put the masks on them and froze them and renamed them Type Nulls. And then Gladion stole one of them and befriended it. And it evolved.
Because he's cool.
Into Silvally.
Have you guys seen the sunfish? I love the sunfish. So have you guys seen the one in Japan that like refused to eat during like the you-know-what in 2020? And it was because it was depressed that nobody was coming to the aquarium to see him. So the workers put like cutouts and taped it to the glass, and the sunfish got happy again and it started eating. Very wholesome.
That's not a legend, that's just questionable corporate activity. Now, an argument could be made that this backstory is basically the same as Mewtwo's, and I counted Mewtwo's backstory as adequate for being legendary. However, there are some distinct differences that I think matter. Type Null was inspired by a mythical Pokemon, but it wasn't created from one. They just took DNA from different regular Pokemon. While Mewtwo was cloned from an actual mythical Pokemon. It has direct genetic relation to an existing mythical
Type Null is just a fake legendary
/ legendary Pokemon. And the second difference is that the way the stories are presented gives Mewtwo's story more of a legend type status. With Mewtwo, you have to search through this abandoned mansion and maybe see the diaries that explain it. And it's just got this big air of mystery around it. Whereas Type Null, Gladion's like, yeah, they made this and I took one. But even if you disagree with me and think that Type Null's backstory should count as worthy of being legendary, they don't meet the third category, because there's more than one. You get one, Gladion has one, and apparently there's a third one somewhere else. So that's too many. That's not legendary. Next up are the Island Guardians, the Tapus. These are still legendary to me. They're plenty strong. They have the backstory of being the Island Guardians for centuries and who knows how long, and selecting the kahunas, and you can't find them anywhere else in the Alola region. Next up, we're gonna talk about the Ultra Beasts. Yes, all of them. There's a lot of ongoing debate in the Pokemon community about whether they count as legendary Pokemon. Bulbapedia says they're not. Cerebi says that according to the game's code, they're classified as sub-legendary Pokemon. So the weaker legendary Pokemon that are allowed into battle facility.
Ultra Beasts are interesting guys.
It's like the legendary birds or the beasts or the Reggies. They say the Ultra Beasts are the same as those. But in my eyes, from a story-based standpoint, they should not be legendary Pokemon. They can be on the same power level as legendary Pokemon, sure, but they're not creatures of legends. They're just
aliens.
Aliens. But not only did they show up relatively recently as just invading aliens, not creatures of legend, there's also a lot of all of them. I believe the only Ultra Beast that you cannot encounter more than one of in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is Poipole. And even then, its dex entry says that in its world, it's popular as a first partner Pokemon. Poipole's not a legendary Pokemon, it's a starter. I don't think—
That's crazy, I did not know that.
Ultra Beasts should be considered legendary Pokemon just because they're from alien worlds. Like, that'd be like someone else on an alien world calling Tyranitar legendary. It's not. It's strong,
it's pseudo,
and it's rare, but there's plenty of them. They're just mean dinosaurs. Next up, we have the Light Trio, Solgaleo, Lunala, and Necrozma, plus the pre-evolutions, Cosmog and Cosmoem. These are a mess.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is like one of the, if not like the only legendary where you have to evolve it, so it gets a little dicey there,
Kind of Ultra Beasts. But also—
Because, like, is there multiple Cosmogs?
Oh, kind of not. So apparently, Solgaleo/Lunala came to Alola in ancient times and were worshipped by the people of that time, which led to the building of the altar of the Sun/Moon and the lake of the Sun/Moon. And then there's the whole story from Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon where Necrozma, like the Ultra Megalopolis, people tried to restrain it and then it escaped and now it's in constant pain trying to steal everyone's light. Oh, but also Solgaleo and Lunala can create more Cosmogs. They actually do that in the game when you go to an alternate universe and then go to the lake, but you have to go to an alternate universe to do it.
Yeah, this
so
is
clearly
a
there's more than
disaster.
one, but like if we look at an alternate universe like Johto region, there's gonna be more Ho-Ohs and Lugias there, and then there's Ho-Oh Lugias on ours. But
Oh my god.
I still call those legendary. So are these other Cosmogs they're making just reproducing, or are they just alternate universe versions?
Are Urshifu considered legendary? I never really thought of Urshifu as legendary. I just thought he was a mythical guy.
Versions of themselves. Where is Solgaleo and Lunala's home even? It's really hard to decide for these, as you might imagine by my frantic storytelling just now, but I think I've settled on Necrozma being legendary, while Solgaleo, Lunala, and their pre-evolutions are not. The Cosmog line seems to be a species that just makes its home across different alternate universes and worlds.
Urshifu's
A
legendary?
book in the Molly
I always thought it was like mythical. I never cared for Urshifu like that either.
City Library talks about how in ancient times when Solgaleo and Lunala showed up in the Alola region, they created more Cosmogs for the Island Guardians to watch over, to be heirs of the region for them. Their history with the Alola region led to lore and legends about them, but the reality is that they're just aliens that showed up a while ago that got ancient people excited. They're just an interdimensional species that reproduces like a regular one. And to me, that's not legendary.
That's
but the
fair.
same is not true for Necrozma, because while we see multiple Cosmogs, we only ever see one Necrozma in any particular game. And it has the backstory with how it tried to be restrained by Ultra Megalopolis and then it got free and now it just hunts down and steals light from places. And so to me, Necrozma is a solitary Pokemon and is just the only one, and it goes across dimensions hunting light.
Yeah, Solgaleo and Lunala are just Ultra Beasts that came all the way in the past.
Making the Cosmog line its prey. I know that was long and kind of convoluted, but the simplest way to put it is that the Cosmog line, there's a lot of them. They're just an alien species that people in Alola thought were really cool. But then Necrozma is a really angry, light-hungry hunter. And he's the only one, and there's stories about it, because it's done some stuff. But now that finally covers the Alola region, so I can move on to the Galar region legendary Pokemon. First, I'll talk about the main game legends, what I'm calling the Darkest Day trio, Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus. They are very, very strong, and they have the lore, the whole Darkest Day legend. There's statues of these Pokemon, for crying out loud, and they're the only ones you can find. They clearly meet the criteria for being legendary. Next up are Kubfu and Urshifu. Now, Kubfu is not strong enough, but Urshifu is, so maybe I could let that slide. However, they don't have much, if any, lore about them, just that they're a rare species that lived in mountainous areas far away from Galar. And it being the armor of the dojo is just kind of that dojo's tradition that Mustard set up. But the definitive reason they shouldn't be legendary is that there's a bunch of them.
Oh, yeah.
You get a Kubfu, Mustard
Everyone
has a Kubfu,
gets a Kubfu.
Leon apparently had a Kubfu at some point but couldn't evolve it because he couldn't find the right tower. No, this is just a rare special species. It's not legendary. Next up are Regieleki and
At that point, yeah, it's literally just a pseudo at that point then, right? Because pseudos are also just rare species that just happen to be strong.
And I'm actually classifying them as legendary Pokemon. They are plenty strong enough. There's only one you can find of each.
They're super silly Reggies. Unironically, I love Regieleki and Regidrago more than I like the original Reggies.
And they have lore and backstory with the Split Decision ruins. Now what this means is that the original Regi Trio and Regigigas are not legendary, while these new ones are. But I can explain it. So we saw that there was more than one of the original Regis in their home regions. So who knows what the Regigigases over there created. However, as of now, the Galar Regigigas appears to have made one of each of the original three, but then it went the extra mile, and it made Regieleki and Regidrago. That makes Regieleki and Regidrago more special than the other Regis that are seen elsewhere in their home regions. So they're the legendary ones. Next are the Galarian legendary birds. As a reminder, I did not classify the Cantonian legendary birds as legendary because
Leon's Kubfu sitting in a box any day now. He'll finally evolve me.
There were more than one of them. Now with the Galarian birds, there's not more than one of them.
That's so funny.
But I'm tempted to say that there kind of are, because of my theory about them being part of the same evolutionary tree as the original birds, meaning there had to be plenty of them for that divergence to occur.
Agreed.
But regardless of that, they don't have enough lore for me to count this. People see them at the tree, they just go to the tree because they like the berries. That's not lore.
They're just hungry.
There's no story there. That's just a common meetup point. Finally are the King and Steed Pokemon, Calyrex, Glastrier, and Spectrier. They have plenty of backstory. We got the whole story there in the Crown Tundra, and there's only one of each. Calyrex is, I think,
He's just a guy.
Weak when in its regular form, but it has other forms that are strong enough, so it makes up for that.
Him strong.
These three, still legendary. So to summarize, my new trimmed down list of legendary Pokemon is Mewtwo, the legendary beasts, Ho-Oh, Lugia, the Weather Trio, the Creation Trio, the Swords of Justice, the Forces of Nature, the Tau Trio, the Aura Trio, the Island Guardians, Necrozma, the Darkest Day Trio, Regieleki and Regidrago, and the King and Steed Trio. The
that's acceptable.
Others are definitely rare and special, but in my eyes, they shouldn't be classified as legendary. Thanks so much for watching, and an extra special thanks to my patrons over on Patreon who are helping support my channel independent of the fluctuating nature of the YouTube ad business. If you want to help support me in the same way, the link is in the description below. Also, if you want to check out some more of my fun Pokemon content, I recommend these videos here. All right, that's all I have for now. So until next time, fans. Gotta catch them all.
Yep. I have no problems there. The only reason Mewtwo qualifies as legendary is because nobody is stupid enough to make a second after what happened with the first. Oh, that's so funny. That's my favorite. That was a fun video. I like that video. Everybody has a Kubfu. Everybody. Artificial legendaries earning their status via only child syndrome. True. They made one and they were just like, never mind. Never mind, guys. We don't need another one of these guys. Oh my goodness. Unfortunately, chat, that is all I have today because I have to do some stuff before I go to locals tonight. But tomorrow's a really important day for me. By important day, I mean tomorrow is I am debuting a new outfit tomorrow, a new model outfit tomorrow with a brand new rig, brand new everything. So I hope you guys can join, and also save your moolah because there's some awesome merch tomorrow. And I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I will say there is something. There's a merch item coming out tomorrow that has been asked for a very long time, and I'm really excited to share it with you all tomorrow. So let's see if I can get the graphic just really quick of my outfit debut. If you're in the YouTube chat, you will be you guys will be redirected into the waiting room for it tomorrow. But yeah, this is it's coming out tomorrow. So yeah, buttons reveal tomorrow, guys. Buttons reveal. It'll be a short stream tomorrow. I'm just gonna show off the outfit. I also have a cover coming out tomorrow as well. We get to do some fun stuff. So yeah. That'll be happening at 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Also, if you're going to MomoCon tomorrow, I'll be doing my virtual meet and greet at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and I will be using my new model. So if you're coming to MomoCon, you get to see my new model 2 hours earlier than everybody else. So yeah. Anyways, I am gonna go head out. If you haven't done so yet, go join my Discord server. I do want to schedule my community movie night probably Wednesday night next week. I think Sinfire's been handling all the community stuff. So we're probably gonna try to do that on Wednesday night next week. I forgot which Pokemon movie we're watching, but we're watching a Pokemon movie. So yeah. Anyways, I will go head out now. Thank you guys for the fun stream. I really enjoy hanging out with every single one of you, and hopefully I will see you guys tomorrow for my new outfit debut. Eevee! Alright, I'm gonna head out now. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Or weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Bye-bye!